Chapter 451. In the Hong family manor. After losing the A-level beast tamer Hong Xingyu, the Hong family only had a few B-level beast tamers left. They could not stop the powerful Wu Ming and Zhao Shi at all. Even Yi, San Yang, and the four-winged angel beast were enough to deal with them. In the living room of the Hong family manor. Four-winged angel beast, you traitor. The elders of the Hong family pointed at the four-winged angel beast standing in front of them. Their eyes were filled with anger as they kept criticizing and cursing. Shut up. Wu Ming walked into the living room. Prisoners should have the awareness of prisoners. Suppress them all. As soon as he finished speaking, the demon atomic beast attacked. Rip. The B-level pets were immediately sent flying. They were then entangled by the black lassos formed by the demon atomic beast and could not move at all. Wu Ming, how dare you attack us? You are courting death. The elders of the Hong family scolded. So what if I did? Wu Ming sneered. He was completely relaxed. I am not for Baiyuan City. I am a castellan of Garan Castle. Even if I did attack you, I can just leave. What can you do to me? Crack. Wu Ming attacked instantly. Relying on his peak sea-level strength, he broke the elders' arms and threw them to the ground as if they were garbage. Okay, you can deal with the rest yourselves. Wu Ming sat in the seat of the leader of the Hong family. He opened his eye of insight and began to search for any traces related to the laboratory. Okay. Zhao Shi nodded. Wu Ming took the initiative to attack because he was not from Baiyuan City. Even if he did something wrong, he could run back to Garan Castle to take refuge. But Zhao Shi was different. She was a local of Baiyuan City. She had to manage and develop the huge Zhao family. She could not go overboard. Therefore, Wu Ming took the initiative to be the bad guy. Zhao Shi was very touched by this. 10 minutes later, the Zhao family had the entire Hong family under control. They compared the evidence obtained from interrogating the traitor Zhao Ying and the information found in the Hong family. They formed irrefutable evidence that could be used to sue the Hong family. In the backyard of the Hong family manor, Wu Ming came here alone. This was a garden that occupied several acres. There was a pavilion made of white boulders, a swimming pool, and all kinds of fragrant flowers in full bloom. Wu Ming began his search. 10 minutes later, he went to the fountain in the center of the garden and found a button. He pressed it hard. Gotcha! The stone table beside the fountain slowly descended into the ground. Wu Ming grinned and stood on the stone table, following it as it continued to descend into the depths of the ground. 30 meters underground. Wu Ming finally followed the stone table to an underground door. Using the key he found on Hong Xingyu, he opened the door and entered a magnificent basement. It was 10 meters in length and width and 5 meters in height. There were many shelves inside, and each shelf needed a key to open. Luckily, Wu Ming had obtained a bunch of keys from Hong Xingyu. He opened the containers and found many precious materials. C-grade purple wisteria, B-grade golden eye, and C-grade holy scepter. Wu Ming looked at the dazzling array of treasures and smiled. He couldn't help but look at the containers that were filled with treasures and laughed out loud. With these, the materials needed to concoct S-grade evolutionary food are almost complete. Wu Ming kept all these treasures in the system storage. Finally, he came to the deepest part of the basement. There was a safe here that could only be opened with Hong Xingyu's biometric identification. No key, Wu Ming muttered. The next moment, he released the rainbow-winged chameleon. With a wave of its claws, it split the safe into two halves, revealing a metal box inside. Gotcha! Wu Ming opened the metal box, revealing a small glass bottle with a diameter of 2 centimeters and a height of 1 centimeter. It contained a light purple medicine. Wu Ming immediately opened the Eye of Insight. Name, strengthening medicine. Grade, none. Effect, can strengthen all attributes. The effect depends on the situation. The side effect is that the user will become violent, irritable, and easily controlled. Remark, developed by the laboratory. Seeing this, the corners of Wu Ming's mouth rose slightly. Hong Xingyu's strength increased greatly because of this strengthening medicine, but it also comes with a side effect. Wu Ming muttered, After putting away the strengthening medicine, Wu Ming strolled around the basement again. After making sure that there was nothing missing, he returned to the surface. At this time, Zhaoxi was still searching the house. Someone from the city lord's mansion had already come over and strongly condemned Wu Ming, saying that his actions were too reckless and arrogant. They even arrested Wu Ming in front of everyone. However, the guards of the city lord's mansion didn't say anything or stop Zhao, Shi, and the others from the Zhao family. 15 minutes later, city lord's mansion. Wu Ming placed the medicine on the table for city lord Long Jintian to observe and said, "Brother, why did you invite me here in such a way?" Long Jintian spread out his hands and said, "You beat up the elders of the Hong family in front of so many people. As the city lord of Beiyuan City, I definitely have to send someone to condemn you." Hearing this, Wu Ming agreed. "All right, is Hong Xingyu really dead?" Long Jintian thought of something and quickly asked. "Yes, there's nothing left of him." Wu Ming nodded. "As for this bottle of medicine, it was found in the basement of the Hong family. I don't know if it can help you." Long Jintian smiled and said, "My 100-faces beast has a talent called scent tracking. Its nose is 10,000 times more sensitive than a dog's nose. It can track the scent on the medicine." Wu Ming's eyes lit up. "If that's the case, what are we waiting for? No hurry, we'll go at night." Okay. In the following time, Wu Ming stayed in the city lord's mansion to drink tea and chat. As for the Beiyuan city outside, it was already in an uproar. News kept coming out. First of all, the city lord's mansion thought that Wu Ming attacked the Hong family maliciously and sentenced him to 30 billion. Of course, this news was purposely spread by the city lord's mansion to let others think that Wu Ming was really severely punished by the city lord's mansion. But in fact, Wu Ming had been drinking tea and chatting with Long Jintian the whole day. They were having a great time. As for Zhao Shi, Yi Sanyang, the Zhao family's elders, and the rest, they had already used the day to completely occupy the Hong family. They had also reported the matter of the Hong family bribing the Zhao family's traders and using unfair business competition methods to the city lord's mansion, attracting attention. Now, even the city lord's mansion was on the side of the Zhao family and took the initiative to help the Zhao family take over the Hong family's business. Regarding this, all the people from the major forces sighed. Hong Xingyu must be dead. Once he's dead, the Hong family will have no backing and will definitely be taken over by the Zhao family. Even the city lord's mansion is starting to help. Hee, isn't this a good thing? In the future, there will be one less arrogant and despotic Hong family in Beiyuan City. There will only be 7 of us left, and the cake will be bigger. This is a good thing for us. That's true. Haha. Let's open the champagne and celebrate. The people from the major forces started to cheer. Usually, they maintained a cooperative relationship with the Hong family. But when the Hong family really fell, they were happier than anyone else. Some of the leaders of the forces even started to curry favor with the Zhao family. 9 p.m., the night was alluring. Wu Ming was not very concerned about the turbulent situation in the city. At this time, he was taking advantage of the cover of the night and came to Manor number 398 on the East Bank Street of Beiyuan City. This place is already empty. Wu Ming looked at the manor that occupied more than 10 acres and realized that the people inside had already left. There was even some dust on the ground. It was obvious that no one had lived here for a week or two. We're at least a week late. Long Jintian appeared beside Wu Ming. The 100-faces beast was lying on the ground and had transformed into a dog. It was constantly sniffing around with its nose. The strengthening medicine was a product of this manner. What do we do next? Wu Ming looked at Long Jintian. This was his first time cooperating with him, and he wanted to hear the Star Pagoda Master's advice. Chapter 452. Let's search this place and see if we missed anything, Long Jintian said. In this regard, Wu Ming agreed. The 100-faces beast followed the scent of the enhancement potion and led them through the long corridor of the manor. They entered a master bedroom and found a secret passage that led underground. The two entered and found a secret room. However, there was nothing left except for a table and a laptop. It was obvious that the people in the laboratory had taken everything away. The laptop was purposely left behind by them. They actually left a laptop behind. Interesting. Wu Ming and Long Jintian looked at the laptop on the table with a playful expression. Ding! Wu Ming turned on the laptop. It did not lock the screen. After it was turned on, it jumped to the desktop and played a video. As expected, this video should be a warning to us. I remember seeing a similar video in Tianyuan Canyon. However, the content was misleading. Wu Ming sneered. That's interesting. Long Jintian smiled and moved the mouse to play the video. Wu Ming and Long Jintian were wearing combat uniforms and covered their bodies. Their voices were also processed. Hence, they were not afraid of being recorded by the camera. Ding! The video finally started playing. In the video, it was a magnificent palace, and a cloaked figure was sitting on an armchair, smoking a cigar in front of the screen. As he was covered in black cloth, Wu Ming and Long Jintian could not see his face. Hello, I'm Li Daliang, the researcher of the laboratory. I'm also the person in charge. Are you surprised? At this point, Li Daliang held the cigar in his hand and stopped smoking. Instead, he drank a glass of water. To be honest, I'm very surprised that you could find this place. I'm also impressed by your dog-like sense of smell. I think Hong Xingyu is dead, but that's not important. To our laboratory, he's just a pawn, a failed product, a slave that can be discarded at any time. He's not even the real core of our laboratory. Why is that? Because I'm the only core member of the laboratory. Other than me, everyone else is just a pawn. At this moment, an A-class ion sword appeared on the screen. It was held by Li Daliang and stabbed into his body. Chi! Chi! His body began to emit black smoke, but after a long time, the injuries on his body were not serious, as if he had been burned by a cigarette butt. Clang! Li Daliang tossed the A-class ion sword to the ground and laughed sinisterly. You didn't expect that, did you? My body has already reached the point where it can withstand an A-ranked ion sword. What does this mean? The majority of A-class warriors are unable to harm me. Scare, fear, kikik. At this point, Li Daliang laughed wildly. Voila! He suddenly stood up and tore off the cloak and black cloth on his body, revealing his sturdy body. The muscles on his body bulged, showing his unparalleled strength. I am invincible, Li Daliang said. He was still wearing a mask, so no one knew what he looked like. But from the video, they could guess that Li Daliang was about 1.8 meters tall, which was quite tall. When I first occupied the pet's body, I was still quite short. But now, I've grown taller and stronger. I dare to show you this video because it means that the strengthening potion in our laboratory has been completely formed. That's right. My research is a success. With that, Li Daliang took off his mask, revealing a face that was not much different from that of a normal person. It was just that the hair on his face was more luxuriant. At first glance, Wu Ming and Long Jintian thought that this was a mutant chimpanzee that had just finished hair removal. In the video, Li Daliang touched his face and looked at it in the mirror. His face was full of appreciation. I think this face is quite handsome. You only see the uniqueness of this face, but you don't see my lifespan of more than 1,000 years, my unparalleled strength, and my invincible strength. You wait for your death. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire number 398 manor began to tremble, as if something was about to explode from the ground. Long Jintian and Wu Ming's expressions changed. Fuse! Long Jintian shouted, and the 100 Faces beast that was standing beside him immediately attached itself to his body, transforming into a 5-meter-tall humanoid mecha. Let's go. Long Jintian grabbed Wu Ming and smashed through several ceilings, flying up into the sky. Bang! Right at this moment, a terrifying explosion occurred in the number 398 manor. A force comparable to a peak A-class attack soared into the sky, causing a 100-meter-tall mushroom cloud to appear in the manor. Dong, dong, dong. Countless shockwaves swept out in all directions. In an instant, all the glass within a radius of several kilometers shattered, and all the buildings within a radius of several hundred meters were destroyed. Countless people lost their lives. For a time, screams could be heard everywhere. The entire Beiyuan city fell into a state of panic. High up in the sky, Wu Ming and Long Jintian clenched their teeth, their faces filled with anger. The number 398 manor on the East Coast Street occupied a large area, and the center of the explosion was also inside the manor. However, the power of the shock waves was still terrifying, causing the deaths of hundreds and thousands of people. Damn it, Li Daliang, you and I are irreconcilable. Long Jintian kept shouting. Under such a horrifying explosion, the only thing he could do was to bring Wu Ming away from the center of the explosion. If they had not managed to escape, they would have been severely injured. In the worst-case scenario, they might have even died on the spot. That damn Li Daliang. Wu Ming was also shouting. This person must have been watching us from afar. And then he created this horrifying explosion. Long Jintian nodded, gritting his teeth. Yes. But what I'm more curious about is, what was that underground explosion that could cause such a horrifying shockwave? Wu Ming looked at the ground, deep in thought. I think it might be the inner core of a ferocious beast or a pet beast. Such things contain a vast amount of energy. Once detonated, the consequences would be unimaginable. Wu Ming said, "That should be it." Long Jintian nodded. He believed that Wu Ming's guess was likely to be correct. Soon after, a gust of wind blew. Dust was blown all over the place. Immediately, pets of the water family came out and sprayed water to clear the dust. The originally hazy center of the explosion also revealed its current appearance. On the ground, a pit with a diameter of 15 meters and a depth of 10 meters appeared there. Nothing was left in the pit. The pit was far away. Wu Ming could also feel the scorching airwaves. It was not hard to imagine how high the temperature at the center of the explosion was. That kind of weapon is horrifying, Wu Ming said in a low voice. That was not a nuclear weapon, but it was not far from it. Anyone below the S rank would have been killed if they had been caught in the center of the explosion. I don't know if my armor can withstand it. Wu Ming looked at the third-generation dragon scale armor he was wearing. After some thought, he took out an ownerless second-generation dark golden armor and gave it to Long Jintian. "Brother Long, this armor is for you," Wu Ming said. Long Jintian took over the second-generation dark golden armor. He tried to scratch the surface of the armor with the beast of variety, only to find that the armor could not be cracked. Long Jintian turned pale. "What kind of armor is this? Why is it so hard?" Wu Ming smiled, but didn't say anything. Long Jintian didn't ask any more questions. He took the armor with joy, and with Wu Ming's help, the armor recognized him as its owner. Next, we have to comfort the people in the city to avoid causing more panic. Long Jintian and Wu Ming flew to the mayor's residence. Hundreds of kilometers away from the Beiyuan city. It was a secret fortress that was built deep underground. Li Daliang was holding a remote control. He grinned hideously as he looked at the number 398 manor that had a huge pit in it. The power is not bad. Next, we can prepare more similar crystal bombs and blow up all the people who oppose our laboratory. Ha ha! Li Daliang laughed wildly. "Boss, the perfect model has been developed." At this time, a graceful figure in combat uniform walked into the secret room and said to Li Daliang, "Oh, take me there immediately." Li Daliang grabbed the slender waist of the graceful figure and walked toward the secret room. 10 minutes later, a secret room built a few kilometers underground. Li Daliang and a dozen researchers stood in front of a huge screen and looked at the reverse tree structure diagram. "Boss, this is the perfect model." The graceful hostess held a laser pointer and explained the reverse tree structure diagram on the screen. This explosion is called the reverse tree reaction. First of all, the inner core can explode, and the power is very terrifying. It can cause terrible destruction. However, the higher the level of the inner core, the harder it is to detonate. However, we have overcome this difficulty. And this is the reverse tree structure model. In the beginning, we used ordinary high-temperature bombs to create a small explosion center with a temperature of 5,000 degrees Celsius. This can detonate an inner core without a grade. And after 2 or more gradeless inner cores explode, the high temperature generated is enough to detonate a grade F inner core. Next, We use this interesting method to continuously use low-grade inner cores to detonate high-grade inner cores until we could create a reverse tree structure that can perfectly detonate an A-grade inner core. This is perfect. The layers of detonation may seem slow, but in reality, it can be completed within 0.1 seconds. As long as the A-grade inner core is successfully detonated, the instantaneous explosion of high temperature will cause even an S-grade to lose a layer of skin if they are not killed within 10 meters of the explosion center. The sexy and graceful host spoke with fervor and assurance. Hearing this, Li Daliang licked his lips. What was installed in the number 398 manor was only the inner core of a peak B-grade beast, the Fire Dragon Beast King. However, its power was enough to destroy an A-grade beast at the center of the explosion. Once the A-grade reverse tree structure bomb was used, even an S-grade would be blown away. Good, very good, very good. Li Daliang laughed wildly. His big hand slapped the sexy hostess's perky, but causing her expression to change drastically, and she tried to beg for mercy. Cough, cough, let's go out first. The others immediately left. Not long after, only Li Daliang and the hostess were left in the secret room. Chapter 453. Your body smells good. Li Daliang placed his hand on the host's delicate face and grinned evilly. Boss, you're too strong. I can't stand it. The host let out a heart-wrenching scream. However, Li Daliang was already sneering. After getting the body of the chimpanzee, his bestial instincts had become much stronger than before. Even his personal abilities had increased by more than 10 times. Every day, he needed to be released. And today's target was this sexy, graceful, young, and graceful host. Wu Ming didn't know about the conspiracy in the laboratory. In the Zhao family's main hall, everyone was immersed in joy. This was because the Zhao family had successfully swallowed up most of the Hong family's businesses. Because they couldn't take care of the remaining businesses, they simply distributed them to other families and received the support of all parties. Because of this, the Zhao family's reputation soared. Apart from the dead Hong family, all the other families in Baiyuan City maintained a good cooperative relationship with the Zhao family. The Zhao family was also showing signs of becoming the #1 family in Baiyuan City. Family head, you're amazing. When the family head was still young, I said that she could achieve great things. As it turned out, she really turned the Zhao family around. Family head is amazing. The higher-ups of the Zhao family sat in seats around the main hall and gave Zhao Shi a thumbs up, praising her incessantly. Seniors, you're too kind. If it weren't for Ming's help, I wouldn't have succeeded. Zhao Shi looked at Wu Ming beside her. It is said that behind a successful man, there is a woman's silent support. But what I want to say is that behind a successful woman, there's also a man who is helping her. With that, Zhao Shi winked at Wu Ming. Wu Ming smiled, but didn't say anything. Indeed, as for Zhao Shi, whether it was in her life or in the development of the family, he naturally helped her. Zhao Shi looked at the higher-ups of the Zhao family and continued. The development of the Zhao family, in addition to your efforts and Ming's help, is also inseparable from the people of Baiyuan City. The explosion at 398 East Shore Street caused great damage and casualties. As a major family in Baiyuan City, we must set an example. I solemnly announce this. The Zhao family will take out $1 billion to repair the damage and losses on East Bank Street. They will also send a certain number of aid personnel. If necessary, additional help will be provided. As soon as he said this, everyone immediately straightened their backs. Instead of objecting, they expressed their approval. To the Zhao family, who had just annexed the Hong family, 1 billion yuan was nothing. They could easily take it out. If the Zhao family took the initiative to help, there would be many benefits. First, expand the influence of the Zhao family. Secondly, to appease the people of northern Yuan City so that the development of the city would not stagnate because of this explosion. Third, they could take the lead and have the other families contribute money and effort as well, forming a good cycle. In the seats, when Wu Ming heard Zhao Shi's decision, he nodded his head in satisfaction. He felt that she had good foresight and was magnanimous. Such a woman was perfect. Half an hour later, The Zhao family's family meeting ended, and everyone dispersed. Zhao family's backyard. On the second floor of a 3-story luxurious villa, Zhao Shi leaned in Wu Ming's arms and drew circles on his sturdy chest with her finger. Bad guy, you're too good. Yi San Yang brought the tea and snacks over and placed them on the table. Then, she sat on the sofa and leaned in Wu Ming's arms. Am I good? Wu Ming whispered. He took out the remote control and controlled the electric curtains to close. Then, he looked at the two people in his arms. Hee, I have something even better. Underground fortress. Li Daliang changed into a fitting combat uniform. With his hands behind his back, he walked into a super-large underground secret room built in reinforced concrete that was dozens of meters thick. Ta-ta-ta. From other doors, people came in one after another. Including Li Daliang, there were a total of 9 people. Everyone, we only have one mission today, and that is to observe the construction and testing of the most perfect reverse tree structure module. Finally, we will comment. Li Daliang said to the others. Okay, we will listen to you, Director Li. Those few people nodded. Then, the 9 of them walked to the middle of the secret room and stood around a huge stone table. Everyone, I'm going to start. Li Daliang put on special gloves and took out various tools from the toolbox. He then opened a big box, revealing a large number of Dire Beast inner cores, including gradeless, F-grade, E-grade, D-grade, and C-grade ones. As for the higher B-grade and A-grade ones, there were none here, because what they wanted to verify was the stability and reliability of the reverse tree structure model. There was no need to waste B-grade and A-grade ones as experimental materials. Reverse tree structure model, what a show-off. Who the hell thought of this model? This person is definitely a genius. The laboratory's higher-ups were all praising. In front of the stone table, Li Daliang took out a thumb-sized brown solid and installed an electronic ignition device. This brown solid was a mixture of dire beast blood, fur, fat, petroleum, and other materials. The chemical was relatively stable. When hit by high-temperature electric current, it was easy to explode. Its combustion temperature could reach 8,000 degrees Celsius. This thing could detonate the gradeless Dire Beast inner core. After that, it could form a reverse tree structure model and detonate the higher grade inner core layer by layer. Today's test subject is a C-grade inner core explosion. The so-called inner core explosion is what I call this weapon developed using the reverse tree structure model. A-grade inner core explosion, the last one to detonate, is an A-grade inner core. C-grade inner core explosion, of course, the last one to detonate is a C-grade inner core. Next, we need 16 gradeless inner cores, 8 F-grade inner cores for E-grade inner cores, and 2 D-grade inner cores to detonate a C-grade inner core. Li Daliang explained while operating. On the stone table, there was a cage-shaped multi-layered structure built with superalloy steel. The outermost layer had 16 grooves where gradeless inner cores were inlaid. The second layer inside was an F-grade inner core. The entire structure was similar. The most central groove was inlaid with a C-grade inner core. 10 minutes later, Li Daliang completed the assembly and coated the outermost layer with a 1 centimeter thick brown solid. He then placed it in a square iron box with a battery and connected the internal wires. All right, follow me to test it. Li Daliang led everyone out of the underground chamber and came to a nearby mining area. This was a property under the laboratory's name. They often did experiments here, and because this mine often needed to be blown up, even if they did experiments here, it would not arouse the suspicion of others. In a mountain, Li Daliang threw the half-meter long, wide, and tall metal box into the cave and led everyone to a kilometer away. Next, let's enjoy our art. Li Daliang laughed wildly and pressed the remote control in his hand. Beep beep. The battery in the metal box released all the electricity in an instant, igniting the brown solid fuel and generating a high temperature of about 8,000 degrees Celsius. The gradeless inner core was instantly detonated. Then, the reverse tree structure was officially formed. Almost at the same time Li Daliang pressed the button, the entire reverse tree structure was detonated. Boom! The C-grade Niden at the core exploded with all the energy within it, blasting the entire mountain into countless pieces. Shockwaves swept out in all directions, and thick dust billowed. F***CK. Even though they were a kilometer away, some people were still blown away by the shockwaves. Even their eardrums were shattered. Ha ha ha. Awesome, this is really awesome. Li Daliang looked at the peak energy index displayed on the energy detector and found that the energy index produced after the perfect detonation of the most common C-grade inner core had reached the peak of B-grade. If a peak C-grade inner core was used, the power would probably reach A-grade. Awesome, this is F***king awesome. Li Daliang threw down the energy detector and jumped on the spot. His heart was filled with excitement. Oh my god, isn't this too scary? The other 8 high-ranking members of the laboratory swallowed their saliva, their eyes filled with shock. This weapon, called inner core explosion, is not big, about the size of a suitcase, but it can unleash such terrifying power. This is really shocking. If we create 10 A-grade inner cores, won't we be able to kill an S-grade? This is awesome. Our laboratory's future is bright. The 8 high-ranking members of the laboratory were extremely excited. However, no one knew that deep in the eye sockets of one of the high-ranking members, there was a deep sense of worry. Next, create a large batch of high-grade inner cores, at least C-grade. If possible, give me more A-grade inner cores. Li Daliang instructed the people in the laboratory. Yes. The staff members immediately put on anti-static suits and used super alloy steel to create a cage-shaped support frame. The rest of the people went to the outside world to purchase inner cores in bulk. The work in the laboratory was in full swing. As for the high-ranking members, they all dispersed. One of the female high-ranking members left the underground fortress of the laboratory and flew toward Baiyuan City with all her might. Li Daliang is a madman. Once he obtains A-grade inner cores and creates A-grade inner cores, I'm afraid he can kill a peak A-grade or even an S-grade. Even if I'm in danger of being exposed, I have to spread the news. The woman's breathing was rapid as she sat on the back of her flying pet, Nightingale, and flew at her fastest speed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, behind her, several B-grade beasts were chasing after her, their eyes filled with killing intent. I've been exposed? The woman's expression changed greatly. Although she was also a high-ranking member of the laboratory, she was not strong. She was just an average B-grade beast tamer. The reason she could become a high-ranking member was that she took over the position of a department head of a laboratory from her father. Therefore, she became one of the 9 high-ranking members. However, the woman was not transformed into a new human being that was a combination of a pet and a human. She was still a pure human being. Moreover, she did not want to become a new human being. To her, that was too disgusting. You traitor, don't even think about escaping. Those pet beasts spoke in human language, their eyes filled with ferocious smiles. They sped up, getting closer and closer to the woman sitting on Nightingale. This scene caused her pupils to contract. Chapter 454. Speed up. The woman patted Nightingale. Nightingale sped up and distanced itself from the pursuers in the laboratory. If you dare to run away, we will kill your entire family. The pets bellowed. Their bodies were pets, but their consciousness had been transformed into human beings. Since they were flying pets, they didn't show up in crowded places to avoid being exposed. They were excited to be able to go out and carry out a mission. This was one of the few opportunities for them to perform. They had to show off their strength and satisfy Li Daliang. My entire family will be killed. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The woman chuckled after hearing their threats and told Nightingale to speed up. F***CKU. The pets didn't expect that their threats wouldn't work. They cursed at once. Baiyuan City. Wu Ming woke up from his bed. He looked at Zhao Shi and saw her blushing face. Wu Ming couldn't help but kiss her. Lazy girl, I have to go back. Take care of yourself while you're in Baiyuan City. You're leaving so soon? Zhao Shi was disappointed. Wu Ming smiled. You haven't found all the materials I asked you to find, right? I'm going back to Garan Castle now. I can help you find some of the materials. Okay. Zhao Shi nodded. Wu Ming had chosen 2 A-rank evolutionary foods the A-rank infinite absorption and the A-rank toxic fog field. He wanted to make them for her, but he didn't have all the materials. She had mobilized the entire Zhao family and other families, but she still lacked some materials. She had to rely on Wu Ming to find those materials. Thinking of this, Zhao Shi knew that she couldn't force Wu Ming to stay. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to find the materials for the A-rank infinite absorption and the A-rank toxic fog field. Be good in Baiyuan City. I'll come and see you when I have time. Or you could go to Garan Castle to find me. Wu Ming grinned. Okay, I'll come and see you. Zhao Shi nodded and walked Wu Ming to the door. Let's go. Wu Ming waved at Zhao Shi and soared into the sky with Yi Sanyang, flying towards the Garan Castle. Half an hour later, the two of them were already over 1,000 kilometers away from northern Yuan City. At this moment, a scream came from the sky. Wu Ming immediately looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a graceful figure in combat uniform and a B-grade nightingale with a wingspan of 5 meters falling towards the ground at a very fast speed. Further away, the 3 Class B flying pets were grinning hideously. Ha ha ha! You slut! You still want to hide in Northern Plains City to seek help from the City Lord. Do you think the 3 of us are vegetarians? Just wait and see how we'll kill you. The 3 flying pets laughed wildly. High in the sky, Yi Sanyang's eyes widened when she saw this. She looked at Wu Ming and asked, Boss, pets can talk too? Wu Ming's expression sank. That's a Homo evolutus. Yi Sanyang took a deep breath and said, So, it's a Homo evolutus with a pet body and a human consciousness. No wonder they look so arrogant and behave like humans. Wu Ming looked at the graceful figure falling to the ground and the B-grade nightingale that still had some strength left. They are all from the laboratory. Judging by the looks of it, there should be an internal conflict. He had already observed these people with the eye of insight. Whether it was the 3 Class B flying pets, the B-grade nightingale that was falling, or that graceful figure, they were all from the laboratory. However, that woman was not a Homo evolutus. She did not even use the strengthening potion developed by the laboratory. This surprised Wu Ming. However, since he had encountered people from the laboratory, he naturally had to take action. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 3 Class B flying pets folded their wings and swooped down like 3 meteorites. They were very fast. Master, let me do it. The 4-winged angel stepped out and was ready to take action. Okay, perform well. Wu Ming nodded. Right, just seriously injure them. I want to keep them alive for interrogation. Yes. The 4-winged angel flew out at once, still holding the blazing sword in its hand. It was also very fast. Boss, I'll go and help. Yi Sanyang also rushed out. Go. Wu Ming nodded in agreement. Although the 4-winged angel was at the peak of Class B, it was still difficult for it to deal with 3 Class B flying pets at the same time. On the ground, the graceful woman was about to hit the ground and was in danger of being smashed into pieces. Fortunately, the B-grade nightingale next to her screamed and grabbed the woman with its claws. It flapped its wings and slowed down the woman. Bang! They fell to the ground. Since they had slowed down significantly before landing, their lives were not in danger. They were just in pain. Ouch! The woman groaned and lay on the ground. She looked at the 3 flying pets that were swooping down from the sky. She could clearly see the sharp teeth in their mouths. Her eyes were filled with despair. However, there was a sudden change. A 4-winged angel that was glowing all over flew over. It held a blazing sword in both hands and slashed at the neck of one of the flying pets with all its strength. Crack! A Class B pet was beheaded on the spot. Then, the 4-winged angel waved its sword and slapped the back of the 2nd flying pet, breaking its spine and smashing it to the ground. In the meantime, a purple figure appeared and stomped on the back of the 3rd flying pet. It also activated the Class B talent, Light Convergence, which burst out a small solar flare. Buzz! Immediately, a dazzling light flashed in the sky. The Class B pet was scorched black and also smashed to the ground. I can fight 3 on my own. The 4-winged angel looked at Yi Sanyang and spoke in human language. As an angel, it was born with the ability to speak. I know, but it's more important to finish the battle quickly, Yi Sanyang replied. The four-winged angel didn't say anything. It landed with Yi Sanyang and stood on the ground, looking at the three Class B flying pets on the ground and the graceful woman standing not far away. Who are you? The woman and the Class B nightingale stood together. She covered her proud breasts with her hands and breathed quickly. Wu Ming from Garan Castle. A gentle voice came from the sky. The woman looked up and saw a tall and straight man wearing dark red dragon scale armor, stepping on the black fog and slowly landing. Wu Ming. The woman was shocked. So, you are the legendary genius trainer, the champion of the Nanjiang section of the national competition, and the best individual, Wu Ming. Wu Ming, it's you. The two Class B pets that were still alive roared. Let us go, or the force behind us will tear you into pieces, then put you back together and tear you apart again. Behave. The four-winged angel stepped on the two Class B pets, causing them to scream in pain. Aren't you just people from the laboratory? Others are scared, but I'm not. I'm not scared, not even in the face of Li Daoyang's threats, Wu Ming said calmly. You know where we are? The two Class B pets and the graceful woman turned pale and looked at Wu Ming in surprise. Tell me the secrets you know. Otherwise, don't blame me for being cruel and merciless and killing you, Wu Ming said coldly. I can tell you. The woman took off her helmet, revealing a beautiful face with short hair. She was a young woman in her 20s. She was very beautiful, but blood was seeping out from the corner of her mouth. Clearly, she had been severely injured in the battle just now. My name is Yu Lily, the director of the laboratory's branch in Beiyuan City. I'm also one of 9 leaders of the laboratory. The reason why I'm being hunted is because I want to report the conspiracy of the laboratory to the mayor of Beiyuan City. Yu Lily looked at Wu Ming and decided to take a gamble. As long as Wu Ming was an enemy of the laboratory, then she could save her life. Otherwise, she would not be able to escape today. Crack! Wu Ming stepped on the finger of one of the Class B pets and questioned, Is she really a traitor of your laboratory? Yes. The Class B pet nodded at once. Well, then you can go to hell. Wu Ming took out a golden A-rank ion sword and cut off the heads of the 2 B-rank pets with a couple of slashes. The next moment, under Yu Lily's shocked gaze, Wu Ming touched the 3 dead Class B pets and made them disappear. Is this the space talent? Yu Lily guessed. She did not know that Wu Ming had used the conversion talent to turn the 3 Class B pets into material balls and gained as many as 50,000 evolution points. After doing all this, Wu Ming looked at Yu Lily. We can't stay here for long. Come with me. Wu Ming held Yu Lily's waist directly, which made her blush. Whoosh! Wu Ming stepped on the black mist and slowly floated in the air. He took Yu Lily and flew toward the valley in the distance. Shriek! The injured Class B nightingale hurried to catch up. Yi Sanyang and the four-winged angel acted as guards. 100 kilometers away, in a natural valley, Wu Ming put Yu Lily on the clean grass. There was mist all around, so there was no need to worry about being discovered. Let me heal you. Wu Ming put his hand on Yu Lily's shoulder and let the demon atomic beast release the Class E healing aura. It's so warm. Yu Lily was healed by the aura. Her injuries recovered quickly. Her beautiful big eyes were full of surprise and joy. Next, tell me what you know. Wu Ming finally spoke. Yu Lily took a deep breath, took out a black USB flash drive, and put it on the grass. If you have a tablet, you can read the internal information. It will definitely shock you, right? You must use a computer that is not connected to the internet. Wu Ming picked up the USB flash drive and said with a smile, Interesting. The next moment, Wu Ming took out a tablet from his system space. He unplugged the wireless network card and inserted the USB flash drive. Ding dong. A folder was opened. There were 32 gigabytes of information inside, some of which were learning materials and some of which were confidential information. Yu Lily sat next to Wu Ming. She pointed to a folder named Latest Videos and said, This is the most recent video. Open this. Wu Ming nodded and opened the folder. There was only one video inside. He simply opened it so that the scene in the underground fortress was quickly displayed on the screen. It's him. Wu Ming's pupils contracted when he saw Li Daliang on the screen. Chapter 455. The duration of the video was half an hour. Wu Ming, Yi Sanyang, the four-winged angel beast, and Yu Lily were watching the content of the video. Their expressions gradually changed. In the video, Li Daliang, Yu Lily, and the other 9 higher-ups of the laboratory were standing in front of the stone table. Among them, Li Daliang personally assembled the spherical reverse tree structure model. This is a core explosion. Its principle is the reverse tree structure. It can achieve the goal of detonating the low-grade inner core layer by layer until the high-grade inner core completely explodes. The power of the core explosion is terrifying. Next, you will know when you watch the video. The core explosion in the video is only grade C. Yu Lily continued to explain. At the end of the video, a mountain was directly shattered by the grade C core explosion. The power was terrifying. Hiss. Yi Sanyang and the four-winged angel beast's expression changed greatly. This power was enough to cause terrifying lethality to them. Of course, they now had armor made of matter spiritual balls. They would not be blown to death. At most, they would be in severe pain. After watching the video, Wu Ming's heart was in turmoil. Reverse tree structure model? Oh my god, this is similar to the principle of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are chain reactions. This is a reverse tree structure. It is almost the opposite. The person who came up with this structure model is really a genius. Wu Ming's heart was filled with emotions. It was a pity that such a person had become a lackey of the laboratory. If Yu Lily did not have a conscience and could not stand the violence of the laboratory and took the initiative to betray them, it would be dangerous when a laboratory created grade B and grade A cores. Your information is very important. I will pass it on to Baiyuan City's city lord, Long Jintian. Wu Ming looked at Yu Lily beside him. This is what I should do. I don't want to see this beautiful world destroyed or ruled by the laboratory. Yu Lily shook her head and then sighed. Next, we'll go to Baiyuan City. Wu Ming stood up. Go there and pass the news to Baiyuan City's city lord, Long Jintian. I know the city lord. I will go with you, Yu Lily quickly said. After that, she stopped talking. What are you trying to say? Wu Ming was surprised. No. Yu Lily seemed to hesitate. After a moment, she shook her head and didn't say anything else. Then let's go, Wu Ming said. Whoosh, whoosh. A group of people flew across the sky, rushing towards Baiyuan City. In the underground fortress, the sexy and graceful female secretary walked in front of Li Daliang and placed a document on the table. She bent down, revealing a large area of snow-white skin. Seeing this, Li Daliang's mouth went dry. What? You want to eat me? The female secretary swayed her slender waist and walked to Li Daliang's side. She placed her snow-white slender hand on his shoulder and gently stroked it with her finger. That strange feeling immediately made Li Daliang swallow a mouthful of saliva, but he didn't dare to use force. I can tell that you want to eat me. Unfortunately, you don't dare to because I'm different from those ordinary women. The sexy secretary giggled. Li Daliang immediately suppressed the exuberant desire in his heart as he gritted his teeth and said, Spit it out. If it were any other woman, he would have done it on the spot. However, this female secretary's background was unusual. Her father was the founder of the laboratory. In the laboratory, Li Daliang was the person in charge, the supreme ruler, the planner and initiator of countless schemes, enjoying the supply of countless resources. He could even find a reason to kill the other higher-ups in the laboratory. However, Li Daliang was the only one who knew that there was an ultimate boss above him. That person was the founder of the laboratory. That person was from the Pet Alliance. The Pet Alliance was the highest organization on the Sky Blue planet. All the official members were real Class S Battle Pet warriors. The sexy secretary's father was one of them. Your father sent you here because he doesn't trust me. He sent you to keep an eye on me, right? Li Daliang slammed the table in anger. Given his horrifying strength, even a light tap would leave a deep imprint on the table made of super alloy steel. That's right. The sexy secretary gently patted Li Daliang's face and said with a grin, "Like you, I am a Class A and I can't defeat you. But you must know that my purpose in the laboratory is to enlighten you." Speaking of this, the sexy female secretary swayed her slender waist and walked out of the room. "Bitch, one day, when I advance to S-Class, I will definitely do you in front of your old man." Li Daliang roared in his mind. Then, he noticed the files on the table. Li Daliang's expression changed as he flipped through them. Those 3 good-for-nothings. They couldn't even defeat you, Lily, the traitor. They were killed. How stupid. No, the analysis says that the 3 good-for-nothings' vital signs were disappearing quickly. That is, they were killed in a second. You, Lily, couldn't have killed them in a second. Could it be that she had a helper? So who on earth is obstructing my plan? Li Daliang slammed the table in anger. Soon, he recalled the 2 men in combat uniform that appeared in Baiyuan City's East Bank Street Manor. Those 2 seemed to be Wu Ming and Long Jintian. It's them again. Long Jintian slammed the table in anger. Bang! This time, the entire table was smashed by him, which gave the staff outside a fright. Oh my God, we have to change the table for the person in charge again. This is already the 88th table. If this continues, we will go bankrupt. The staff complained to his heart. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, a staff member knocked on the door of Li Daliang's office, causing Li Daliang to roar in dissatisfaction. "Who told you to come here? Are you courting death?" Li Daliang roared at the staff member. "We have just finished assembling a Class B explosive pill and 7 Class C explosive pills. That's why we are here to inform you." The staff member was so frightened that his legs went soft. He directly knelt on the ground and shivered, unable to get up. Oh, Li Daliang's eyes lit up. He immediately walked to the assembly room in the distance. When he saw the 8 explosive pills on the table, 1 Class B and 7 Class C, he immediately revealed a ferocious and crazy laughter. "Give me Wu Ming's coordinates." Li Daliang immediately walked to the front of the main control room, looked at the super large screen above, and gave the order. Yes. The staff immediately mobilized the cameras and surveillance pets set up everywhere and found that Wu Ming, Yi Sanyang, and Yu Lily had just entered Baiyuan City. Person in charge, Wu Ming, Yu Lily, and Yi Sanyang are on their way to the Baiyuan City governor's mansion. The staff immediately reported. Hearing this, Li Daliang grinned hideously, sent out a suicide squad. Each of them take an explosive pill. Take the Class B explosive pill, by the way, and approach the Baiyuan City governor's mansion from all directions. When Wu Ming, Long Jintian, and the others gather together, immediately rush into the governor's mansion. Once you get close to the explosion range, immediately detonate at the same time. I want to blow up Wu Ming, Long Jintian, and the traitor Yu Lily into the sky. Ha ha! Li Daliang laughed wildly. When the staff heard this, they all suddenly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, thinking that Li Daliang was really too crazy. He had just assembled 8 explosive pills and had not even had time to warm them up before he had to use them. What a waste. However, no one dared to object to Li Daliang's order. Soon, 8 flying pets used their claws to grab the explosive pills that were only the size of a suitcase. Under the escort of Class B pet, they flew at full speed from above the clouds to Baiyuan City. A terrifying assassination was about to begin, next to the main control room of the laboratory. The sexy female secretary leaned against the wall, looking at her fingers that were painted with red nail polish, and gently blew out a smoke ring. This person is like a mad dog. The female secretary looked at Li Daliang in the laboratory, the corners of her mouth raised slightly as she thought so. The next moment, she turned around and walked to other places. Baiyuan City. Wu Ming, Yu Lily, and Yi Sanyang had arrived at the mayor's residence and entered the mayor's hall. This set of armor is really perfect. Long Jintian had already put on the 2nd-generation dark gold armor that Wu Ming had given him. He felt that this set of armor was so powerful that even the full-strength attack of the beast of variety, a P Class A pet, could not break it. He was in a good mood. "Brother Long, I'm back." As soon as Wu Ming entered the hall, he spoke in a deep voice. "Brother Wu Ming, and you Lily, why are you here? Didn't you just take over your father's group? Haven't you been trying to consolidate your position recently?" Long Jintian was curious to see them. "I'm undercover." Seeing that no one was around, Yu Lily immediately confessed, "My father is actually a senior member of the laboratory. The group that I inherited is actually a subsidiary of the laboratory." Upon hearing this, Long Jintian's expression changed greatly. He immediately waved his hand. The secretary of the mayor's residence immediately closed the door and left. "Watch this video." Wu Ming took out his tablet and plugged in a USB flash drive. The video played the explosion test in the underground fortress and the explosion test later. *T. It's a product of the laboratory. Long Jintian's expression changed after he finished watching the video. "Mr. Long, I am a person with a conscience. I don't agree with my father's actions. He joined the laboratory and became Li Daliang's lackey. I'm heartbroken. As his daughter, I have decided to tell you the truth." Yu Lily heaved a sigh. Long Jintian patted Yu Lily's shoulder and said, "I'm glad that you can do this. I applaud you." Yu Lily produced a bitter smile. "Right. How did you meet?" Long Jintian came back to his senses and looked at Wu Ming and Yu Lily. "Here's the thing." Wu Ming told him everything that happened after he left the city and how he rescued Yu Lily on the way. "You killed people from the laboratory. I'm afraid that this matter has been exposed." Long Jintian's expression was gloomy. "Based on my understanding of the laboratory, they will definitely take revenge at this time." Yu Lily looked solemn. Right at this moment, Wu Ming suddenly felt his heart palpitating. He quickly looked up to the sky and saw that the ceiling was broken by 8 flying pets. Each of them had a metal box in their paws, and they were rushing over. The distance between the two sides was less than 10 meters. "No, that's an explosion," Wu Ming shouted. Boom! Almost at the same time, the 8 explosion pills exploded. The horrifying power tore the entire hall of the mayor's residence apart. A mushroom cloud rose to the sky, reaching a height of 100 meters. At this moment, the entire Baiyuan city was shaken. Within a radius of 10 kilometers, not a single piece of glass was intact. Chapter 456. What's going on? When the explosion was over, everyone in Baiyuan City looked at the mayor's residence, at the mushroom cloud that was gradually rising to the sky and the thick black smoke around. They were all shocked. The mayor's residence has been blown up. How is Mayor Long? It's over, it's over. Countless people were extremely worried. The Zhao family. On a tall building, Zhao Shi looked at the mayor's residence that had been blown into a deep pit in the distance. She suddenly felt frightened, as if someone important had been at the center of the explosion. Is it Ming? Hasn't he returned to Garan Castle? No, I have to ask. Zhao Shi immediately took out her phone and sent a VX message to Wu Ming and Yi Sanyang to ask about their situation. In the main control room of the underground laboratory, the cameras on the 8 death-defying pets were recording the entire process of the attack. Everyone here had seen the final moment. Li Daliang, in particular, saw from the big screen that the 8 pets were all within 10 meters of Long Jintian, Wu Ming, Yi Sanyang, and Yu Lily, and then exploded. That distance was the real center of the explosion. 1 B-grade and 7 C-grade explosive pills all exploded within 10 meters. Even an A-grade pet couldn't withstand it. Li Daliang widened his eyes at the thought. Ha ha ha. Wu Ming, Yu Lily, and Long Jintian, those 3 tricky guys are finally dead. That's 1 B-grade and 7 C-grade explosive pills. Even if I was at the center of the explosion, I would have been killed. There's no way they could have survived. Ha ha ha. Li Daliang kept laughing. He was very happy. Congratulations, Director. Congratulations, Boss. The staff members around congratulated him. Only the sexy female secretary, standing in the distance, was still holding the cigar with her fingers. There was a complicated expression on her face, as if she was feeling sorry. Humph. Li Daliang slapped the table and turned to the sexy female secretary not far away. He smiled proudly. What do you think? In the end, I won. The sexy female secretary took a puff of the cigar and blew out smoke rings. She didn't say anything. Instead, she twisted her slender waist and disappeared from everyone's sight. Hee, looks like you're unhappy, Li Daliang said. The sexy secretary had always been dissatisfied with his work. She felt that he had failed too many times recently, which made Li Daliang lose face. But this time, he launched a surprise attack and directly killed Wu Ming, Yi Sanyang, Long Jintian, and Yu Lily for powerhouses above Class B. It was a huge victory. Even the one from the Pet Alliance would treat him differently, or even praise him. Done. Next, continue to spend a lot of money to buy Dire Beast cores and make a large batch of B-grade and C-grade explosive cores for me. If it's possible, make me an A-Class one too. Li Daliang ordered the staff. However, high-tier inner cores were too rare, especially F, E, and D-grade inner cores. They were very common and could be bought if one wanted to. Starting from a C-class, the number decreased. As for the B-grade, it was very difficult to buy one without any channels. Fortunately, the laboratory had enough channels to buy a B-grade inner core. However, Class A was too difficult. Beasts and pets of that level were hard to kill. Basically, they were priceless. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Li Daliang walked to the ground and stood on the peak, overlooking the beautiful rivers and mountains. Haha. One day, the entire land will be under my, Li Daliang's rule. I will become the highest emperor. Li Daliang laughed wildly. Beiyuan City was in chaos. Everyone saw through the news that the mayor's mansion was on fire. They were worried. Put out the fire. Pets of the water family, come and help. Team A341, move out. Hospital, send out support. The explosion has covered more than 1 kilometer. Save the wounded. Bring a pet with healing talent. Orders were sent out from the command office of the emergency team, dealing with the unexpected situation in an orderly manner. The emergency team was set up by Long Jintian's wife herself. It was located in a different place from the mayor's mansion. The two places were about 10 kilometers apart so that they wouldn't be caught in one fell swoop. In the office, a beautiful woman in a dark blue, tight-fitting combat suit was standing in front of a huge screen. Water was flowing around her body to protect her. That was Long Jintian's wife, Lan Sidong. Her rank wasn't low. She had reached B rank. The blue water flowing around her was her pet, the Aqua Beast. Similar to the beast of all shapes, the Aqua Beast could change its body shape at will. Jintian, don't die. Lan Sidong clenched her fists and prayed. She was worried about Long Jintian's safety and wanted to go to the scene. However, as the commander of the emergency team, she had to stay here at all times and arrange the work in an orderly manner. Sir, the mayor's body is not found. The mayor's secretary has been found. She was not close to the explosion and is out of danger. Should we talk to her? The casualty count is in progress. Many messages were sent to the office, and Lan Sidong heard them, rekindling her hope. That explosion was horrifying. Even a Class A could have been killed, but couldn't have killed Jintian completely. So, he's probably alive. It's just that I don't know where he went. That was what Lan Sidong thought to herself. A moment later, she ordered the others, treat the wounded first. Then, ask them to tell us what they were doing at the time of the explosion. Let's reconstruct the situation bit by bit. Yes, the team members began to work. Under the rubble, Wu Ming hugged the two beauties in his arms. Then, he looked at the situation around him. He found that the four-winged angel beast was fine except for vomiting blood. Further away, the nightingale, a Class B pet, was lying on the ground. Half of its wings had been blown away, but most of its body was covered by the dark golden armor, which saved its life. Cough, cough, cough. Brother Wu Ming, your armor is awesome. I only vomited blood because of the explosion. Apart from that, I'm fine. Long Jintian, who was pressed under the boulder, chuckled. He was wearing the dark golden armor that Wu Ming had given him. The moment before the explosion, he had covered himself and his pet, the beast of all shapes, with the armor, which was why he was fine. As for Wu Ming and Yi Sanyang, they were wearing the third-generation dragon scale armor all the time. Nothing could have happened to them. As for the four-winged angel, it It had put on a set of dark golden armor after being subdued by Wu Ming. Although the armor wasn't very resistant, the four-winged angel was at the peak of Class B in the first place. With the protection of the armor, it was fine. As for Yu Lily, she had been standing close to Wu Ming since the beginning. The moment Wu Ming sensed the danger, he put on the dark golden armor for her. However, Yu Lily's Class B pet, the nightingale, was a bit far away. Half of its wing was blown off before it could put on the armor. It was heavily wounded, but fortunately, it survived. "Are you okay?" Wu Ming patted Yu Lily, who was lying in his arms, making her blush. "I'm fine. Thank you." Yu Lily found that she was still lying on Wu Ming's chest. She could feel the strong masculine scent coming from him. "Our boss saved your life. Aren't you going to repay him with your body to express your gratitude?" Yi Sanyang teased. Yu Lily blushed even more. "Brother Wu Ming, stop flirting. What should we do now?" Long Jintian couldn't stand it anymore. He hurried to ask for Wu Ming's opinion. Wu Ming said, "We're under the ruins now. Li Daliang must think that we're dead. Next, we'll beat him at his own game and pretend to be dead." "Good idea." The group was wrapped in the beast of all shapes. Their bodies were like flowing water. They passed through the cracks of the ruins easily and arrived at the emergency team's basement 10 kilometers away. There was no one there. "Where are we?" Wu Ming asked. "My wife, Lan Sidong, is in charge of the emergency office. Now, I'm a dead man. My wife will be in charge of the operations of Beiyuan City," Long Jintian said. "Lan Sidong? The most beautiful woman in Beiyuan City decades ago? I heard that she's from the same generation as my grandmother." Yu Lily was surprised. "My wife and I have lived for 70 or 80 years. What do you think?" Long Jintian smiled. "A and B ranks can live for 1 or 200 years. They won't die so easily." "You're right." Yu Lily nodded. Right then, Wu Ming looked at the B-rank nightingale and said, "Your pet situation is not good." "Nightingale." Yu Lily's heart ached when she saw that half of her beloved pet's wing had been blown off. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Nightingale squeaked and rubbed its head against Yu Lily's neck. Tears were running down from its big eyes. Yu Lily was sadder to see this. "H.E. Wu Ming, you're a genius trainer. Can you save it?" Yu Lily looked at Wu Ming. "Of course." Wu Ming nodded. Yu Lily's B-rank nightingale was only at the elite level. It was 1 talent away from reaching the peak of the B-rank. In the system store, there happened to be a B-rank talent called limb regrowth. However, this talent was only useful to the pet itself. With this talent, after the limbs were broken, the pet could consume its own energy to regenerate quickly. In a few days, it would be as good as new. This kind of talent was of little value. But it was not. "Really?" Yu Lily was overjoyed. The B-rank nightingale beside her also opened its eyes wide and looked at Wu Ming. "Of course." Wu Ming nodded. "In that case, H.E. Wu Ming, I have a presumptuous request. I wonder if you can agree?" Yu Lily bit her teeth and asked expectantly, "What request?" Wu Ming was curious. "I'm a dead person now, and you're my savior. So, can I join you and work for you?" Yu Lily asked anxiously. This was the idea she had come up with after careful consideration. She had betrayed the laboratory and needed a powerful force to back her up. Wu Ming happened to be the best candidate. "Sure." Wu Ming agreed readily. How could he say no to the loyalty of a beautiful woman who is also a B-rank beast tamer? "Congratulations, Wu Ming. You have another B-rank subordinate." Long Jintian clapped his hands and congratulated him. Chapter 457. "Thank you for your congratulations, Brother Long." Wu Ming smiled and hurriedly let the demon atomic beast use the E-grade healing aura to stabilize the B-grade nightingale's injuries and prevent them from worsening. As for the rebirth of the broken arm, he would have to wait until he concocted the B-grade evolutionary food, broken limb rebirth. "Next, I'm going to call for someone." Long Jintian pressed the button for the emergency office's underground secret room, then said a few words into the microphone, briefly explaining the situation here, and sat down to wait. 3 minutes later, the door of the secret room opened, and a graceful blue figure rushed in and threw herself into Long Jintian's arms. "Jintian, you're fine. That's great." Lan Sidong sobbed. "Wife, you're already in your 70s and 80s, yet you're still crying." Brother Wu Ming must have seen a joke. Long Jintian wiped Lan Sidong's tears and teased. "Old thing, I hate you." Lan Sidong punched Long Jintian's chest, then looked at Wu Ming, Yu Lily, and Yi San Yang and nodded. Long Jintian had already introduced the situation here. Therefore, she knew that it was Wu Ming's armor that saved Long Jintian, and she was naturally very grateful to Wu Ming. "What should we do next?" Wu Ming looked at Long Jintian. "The outside already thinks that we're all dead, so we can't be exposed before the laboratory is eradicated." After a pause, Wu Ming continued. "Moreover, this is a good thing for us. In the past, we were in the light and were very passive. But now, we're deep in the dark and can turn our previous passivity into true initiative. For us, this is a good thing. What do you think?" Wu Ming looked at Long Jintian, Yu Lily, Lan Sitong, Yi San Yang, and the others and expressed his analysis. Yes, everyone nodded in agreement. Next, they could hide their identities and become mysterious people lurking in the dark. In addition, with Yu Lily, who was once a high-ranking member of the laboratory, they could monitor all the movements in the laboratory. Passivity suddenly turned into initiative. "Brother Long, shouldn't we, the 9 Tower Masters, take this opportunity to formally meet each other? Now that we've gathered 9 people, it's time to open the last pyramid, right?" Wu Ming asked Long Jintian. Long Jintian nodded and said, "In the past, I felt that there was no need to open the 10th pyramid, but now, I feel that the time is about right. You guys continue chatting. I have to continue taking care of the situation outside. If you want to leave, let me know at any time." Lan Sitong couldn't stay here for too long to avoid attracting the attention of the spies. In Northern Plains City, there were many spies in the laboratory. If it weren't for the existence of these spies, how could the 8 exploding pills under the escort of Class B Pet have been able to approach such a pristine and strictly guarded place like the mayor's mansion of Baiyuan City without any obstacles? Even Commander Lan Sidong's emergency office was infiltrated by laboratory personnel. Go. In the future, Northern Plains City will be temporarily handed over to you to manage. I have contact with the patriarchs of the various large families, and they will cooperate with you to manage Northern Plains City. Long Jintian patted Lan Sidong's shoulder. Soon, only Wu Ming, Long Jintian, Yu Lily, and Yi San Yang were left in the underground chamber. "Next, we will begin to hide," Long Jintian said. His pet, the multiform beast, wrapped up Wu Ming and the others so that everyone's form was like flowing water. Soon, they left through the underground sewer. On the ground, all the major forces had already been in a mess. Latest news: the mayor's mansion of Baiyuan City was attacked by villains with a suicide attack. They used a special bomb and killed the mayor, Long Jintian, the genius trainer, Wu Ming, the president of a group, Yu Lily, and other important people. Breaking news: the genius trainer, Wu Ming, was assassinated. Countless news spread out. In less than half a day, the entire Huaxia was shaken. In the emergency office of Baiyuan City, Lan Sidong stood in front of the camera and cried to all the reporters present. "I'm really very sad. Jintian was killed by thieves just like that. As his wife, I will definitely avenge him. But, for now, I will stabilize the situation in Baiyuan City. Please give me some time." As someone who had lived for 70 or 80 years, Lan Sidong's acting skills were impeccable. After her crying, no one doubted the news of Long Jintian's death. They all believed that he had died. Garan Castle, Nanwen Street. Many reporters carried cameras and surrounded Wu Tianxuo, who was standing on the street. He was so angry that his hair had turned into an afro. "Which bastard dared to kill my teacher? I will not rest until you are dead. I'm so angry." Wu Tianxuo was so angry that he kept stomping his feet. He even fell to the ground and rolled around in front of everyone. In the underground fortress of the laboratory, Li Daliang was in a good mood as he read the news. He saw Lan Sidong crying and Wu Tianxua crying and complaining. Ha ha ha. Very good. It seems that Wu Ming, Long Jintian, and you Lily are all dead. Next, no one will know that our laboratory has such a horrifying bomb. Send out the order. Buy high-rank cores as much as possible. Make 10 A rank and 100 B rank cores within a month. Then, launch a surprise attack on all the major cities. Li Daliang coldly ordered. Yes, sir. The staff did as they were told. Garan Castle. The mayor's mansion in the city center had been in a mess. The mayor of Garan Castle and the others gathered together. They all looked livid. Our lord is dead just like that. What should we do from now on? Stop arguing. Don't we still have Jiyue, a B-rank beast tamer? From now on, we just have to listen to Miss Jiyue. She is our lord's woman and a B-rank beast tamer. She is powerful. Just listen to her. The mayor of Garan Castle and the others started to argue. At the moment, Jiyue, Su Qianqian, Wan Xiu, Wang Chu, Yu Suruo, and most of Wu Ming's women were gathered in the 5-story luxurious villa across the river in the backyard of the pet store. Is Ming really dead? He is not dead. Then why do we cry in front of the reporters and cameras? Our eyes were swollen. Some people were speechless. Jiyue said coldly. Wu Ming sent me a message through the mind-linking bug. He said that he and Yi Sanyang were just faking their deaths. He will disappear for a while. He might come back in half a month or a month. During this time, we have to run Garan Castle well. The news that he is not dead is strictly forbidden to be leaked. All the women present nodded. They all loved Wu Ming very much. They would not tell this secret, and there was no need to. Because of the death of Wu Ming, Long Jintian, Yu Lily, and Yi Sanyang, all the major forces were shocked. Some were sad, some were happy. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. On the southern coast, 3,000 kilometers away from Beiyuan City, for people were standing on a luxurious private yacht, looking at the endless sea and enjoying the comfortable sea breeze. They were in a good mood. These 4 people were Wu Ming, Long Jintian, Yi Sanyang, and Yu Lily. Shriek, Nightingale, a B-level pet, stood on the deck, stretching its new wings. Its eyes were full of joy. Ming, you are indeed a genius trainer. This B-level talent, limb regrowth, is amazing. Not only did it regenerate Nightingale's broken wings, but it also advanced to the peak of the B-level. Yu Lily praised. She looked at Wu Ming's handsome side profile and blushed. She felt that she would not lose anything if she followed him in the future. This man was not only handsome, but also rich. Secondly, he was considerate and a genius trainer. This kind of man was almost perfect. She could not find fault with him. After 3 days of getting along, Yu Lily felt that Wu Ming was a reliable man. Although Wu Ming seemed to be a bit of a playboy, as the saying went, women loved bad men. Because of this, Yu Lily felt that Wu Ming was very attractive. Every time she looked at him, she could not help but blush. Brother Long, are we going to the deep sea next? Wu Ming looked at the deep sea and could not help but ask. Long Jintian nodded. I have an appointment with Chu Yuanxuan and the other tower masters. They said that the threat level of the laboratory has skyrocketed after the explosion. We must speed up and try to open the last pyramid in 3 days. So, the pyramids are at the bottom of the sea. Wu Ming asked. I don't know. Long Jintian shook his head. You don't know? Wu Ming was dumbfounded. If the pyramids are not at the bottom of the sea, why are we going to the sea? Long Jintian hurried to explain. This is because the most powerful of the 9 tower masters lives on an island in the sea. We are going there now to have a meeting. Oh, I see. Wu Ming nodded. By the way, the 10th pyramid seems to be mobile, so it could really be at sea, Long Jintian added. Hearing this, Wu Ming raised his eyebrows. Long Jintian went on. Previously, the 8 of us had a meeting. We used the master key to locate the 10th pyramid and found that the coordinates of the 10th pyramid were constantly changing. However, we couldn't locate it precisely because we didn't have the master key of the Dark Tower. This time, we can finally pinpoint the exact coordinates of the pyramid. Hearing this, Wu Ming finally understood. Splash! The private yacht sped up and soon arrived at the foggy area. which was more than 300 kilometers away from the coastline. The island is at the center of the foggy area. Long Jintian pointed to the fog and explained that master is the only one of the 9 tower masters who is at the S rank. Her pet has the foggy field. Without her guidance, we can't go in. With that said, Long Jintian took out his master key of the Star Tower. Wu Ming also took out his master key of the Dark Tower. A special wave was transmitted to the center of the foggy area. Splash! Soon, the fog parted, revealing the beautiful island dozens of kilometers away. Let's go. Long Jintian steered the private yacht to the island. Wu Ming's heart raced as he looked at the unique island not far away. He was looking forward to the meeting even more. Who are the other pagoda masters? I'm really looking forward to it. Wu Ming clenched his fists. Chapter 458. Half an hour later, the yacht passed through the foggy area. Wu Ming noticed that the island was in the shape of a volcano. The main peak was 1,000 meters high, but there was no volcanic eruption. There were several villas on the mountainside. That was the residence of the only S-level tower master among the 9 tower masters. As expected of an S-level, living in seclusion on the sea, Wu Ming couldn't help but exclaim. The diameter of the island was about 5 kilometers. The island was surrounded by a circle of flat land. There were many buildings and ordinary people living there. There were about a few hundred of them. This is the Goddess Island, Long Jintian introduced. Goddess? Goddess Island? The corner of Wu Ming's mouth twitched. Long Jintian nodded. Yes, the people living there have been serving the owner of the island, one of the 9 tower masters, the Goddess Tower Master. So, the only S-level among the 9 tower masters is a woman? Wu Ming couldn't help but open his eyes wide. Yes, she's lived for 100 or 200 years. Anyway, she's older than all the other tower masters. Long Jintian nodded. She must be a kind old lady. Yu Lily couldn't help but complain. Long Jintian wore a strange expression, but he didn't say anything. 10 minutes later, the yacht docked at the dock. Immediately, 2 blonde beauties in beach bikinis came out to greet them. Star Tower Master, Dar Tower Master, nice to meet you. The 2 receptionists said with a smile. The goddess is taking a bath in the villa. Please take a seat in the hall. The other tower masters have all arrived. Okay, please lead the way. Long Jintian nodded. The group got off the yacht, got on the sightseeing car, and drove along the winding mountain road to the villa halfway up the mountain. On the way, Wu Ming looked around. There were many small courtyards in the mountain where all kinds of herbs were planted. All of them were over 100 years old. They were truly exquisite. The goddess is an S-level. She has been living on this island for 100 years. There are many herbs here that can't be found in the outside world. Some of them can be used to make S-level evolutionary food. Long Jintian took the initiative to introduce. Impressive. Wu Ming couldn't help but praise. There was envy in his eyes. If he had those herbs, he would have been able to train many pets to the peak of Class A. 10 minutes later, the group arrived at the villa halfway up the mountain. Yo, you 2 dead people are finally here. Before entering the door, a figure walked out and greeted Wu Ming and Long Jintian. This person was none other than the 10,000 Beast Pagoda's master, Chu Yuan. You're the dead one. Long Jintian rolled his eyes. Brother Wu Ming, you're finally here. Chu Yuan looked at Wu Ming with a smile. The other pagoda masters are here. Let's go in. All right. Wu Ming nodded. In the hall. There were quite a few seats here, and there were dozens of people sitting there. All of them were B grade and above. Some of them had even reached a class. Is this Wu Ming? As expected of a genius pet trainer, very young. I am the master of Heavenly Wolf Pagoda. I am the Frost Tower Master. Everyone stood up, but only 5 of them opened their mouths to speak. The rest of them were just escorts and didn't have the right to interrupt. Hello, everyone. I am Wu Ming, the master of the Dark Tower. Wu Ming nodded to the 5 people. They were the masters of Heavenly Wolf Pagoda, North Pole Pagoda, Frost Tower, Light Tower, and South Pole Pagoda, including Chu Yuan, the master of the Beast Pagoda, Long Jintian, the master of the Star Pagoda, and Wu Ming, the master of the Dark Tower. There were a total of 8 pagoda masters present. As for the goddess pagoda master, she was still bathing and changing her clothes. Wu Ming soon sat down. The hall quieted down again. Everyone looked at the closed back door of the hall, waiting for the S-grade goddess pagoda master to come out. Thump, thump, thump. A few minutes later, the sound of high heels hitting the floor could be heard. Everyone looked at the back door of the hall. Creak. The door opened automatically. A beautiful figure slowly walked out. She was graceful and elegant, with an indescribable aura of beauty, holiness, and supremacy. This was a beautiful woman. She was 8 meters tall. Coupled with the crystal high heels she was wearing, she looked even taller. She was wearing a luxurious moon-white long dress with slit, revealing her slender and straight legs. The goddess pagoda master's appearance was impeccable. However, the moment he saw this woman's face, Wu Ming suddenly opened his eyes wide. His face was full of disbelief. The goddess pagoda master's appearance was exactly the same as the S-grade newcomer Xue Qian. It was as if they were made from the same mold. If it were not for the difference in height, Wu Ming would have thought that the goddess pagoda master was the S-grade newcomer Xue Qian. At this moment, the goddess pagoda master also looked at Wu Ming. At that moment, their eyes met. The air seemed to have condensed. The goddess pagoda master looked at Wu Ming's eyes. He could read information about her. She could not help but change her expression. You have seen Xue Qian? The goddess pagoda master stared at Wu Ming and could not help but ask. Wu Ming did not speak. He quietly opened the Eye of Insight. Name, Xue. Identity, Island Master of Goddess Island, Goddess Pagoda Master, Beast Level, S-Grade Beast Tamer, Pet, Goddess Beast, Parasitic Type, Pet Talents, S-Grade Goddess Descends, S-Grade Sword Destruction, A-Grade Memory Reading, A-Grade Glittering, A-Grade Goddess Armor. Remarks. S-Grade newcomer Xue Qian's twin sister. Seeing this, Wu Ming finally understood why Xue Ying, the goddess pagoda master, would ask such a question. Xue Ying's A-grade talent, memory reading, could read information about the beast tamer with this talent through eye contact. If this talent was used on a sleeping person or pet, more information could be obtained. Of course, this A-grade talent was not omnipotent. Some secrets that were deliberately hidden in the depths of a person's memory could be difficult to read. Everyone present was stunned. They looked at Xue Ying and then at Wu Ming. They did not understand what Xue Ying meant by this. Yes, I have seen her. Wu Ming nodded. Is she still alive? Xue Ying took 3 steps forward and stood in front of Wu Ming. Her eyes were filled with hope. She could read Wu Ming's surface memory and knew that Wu Ming had seen Xue Qian. However, she could not have read the process of their meeting so easily. Wu Ming would not have told her. She would not have understood. Wu Ming looked around as if he was worried about something. Xue Ying said, "Don't worry. Everyone who can attend this meeting is trustworthy." Hearing this, Wu Ming nodded. I saw Xue Qian sealed in a coffin in the basement of a villa in the suburbs. Then, she woke up and left, Wu Ming said. He knew more information, but that was because he had learned it through the Eye of Insight. It was not convenient for him to share it. She's still alive. That's great. Xue Ying was happy. She pressed her hand to her forehead and sat on the throne. It seems that she has merged perfectly with the Luna Beast. She has become the only natural new human being in the world. Everyone's eyes were wide open. New human being? Wasn't that the name of the laboratory? Xue Ying, the owner of the Goddess Tower, could tell that everyone was confused. The superhumans formed by the fusion of a pet and a human are called new human beings. There are 2 kinds of fusion, natural and artificial. The method used in the laboratory is artificial fusion. A human's consciousness is forcibly taken over the pet's body. The fusion is not perfect. On the other hand, natural fusion is when a human and a pet merge into a human form. At the same time, the consciousness of the human and the pet will be retained. However, a space of consciousness will be built in the pet's body to store the pet's consciousness. Usually, the human's consciousness is in charge. This kind of new human being is the most perfect one. Xue Qian is my twin sister. She used to be an S-rank beast tamer and had a Luna Beast at the peak of that rank. In a fierce battle, the Luna Beast's heart was pierced through by a strong enemy. There was no way it could survive. To survive, the Luna beast used its S-rank talent, sacrifice. It transferred all its energy to my sister, Xueqian. However, this fusion is very dangerous. To prevent herself from losing control, my sister left the goddess island alone. I don't know where she went. But now, Wu Ming, the owner of the Dark Tower, has met my sister. That means that she has completed the fusion and obtained extraordinary powers. She has transformed into a real, new human being. Shuiying was overjoyed when she said that. The others opened their eyes wide in astonishment. Shuiying, the owner of the Goddess Tower, had such a powerful sister. The peak of the S-rank? That was a real top-level battle pet warrior. Shuiying, the owner of the Goddess Tower, had lived for more than 100 years and only had 2 S-rank talents. Xueqian, the new human being, was at the peak of the S-rank. She had 5 S-rank talents, which was enough to prove how horrifying she was. So, can we get in touch with Xueqian? Long Zhenqian couldn't help but ask. If Xueqian, the new human being at the peak of the S-rank, could help them get rid of the laboratory, it will be difficult. Shuiying shook her head. My sister has always been a loner. Besides, she was severely injured because she had to complete a mysterious mission. Now that she has come back to life, she must have gone to complete her mission. Then what should we do? Long Zhenqian shrugged helplessly. Even if Xueqian, who was at the peak of the S rank, did exist in this world, it would be the same as if she didn't do anything. It doesn't matter. Shuiying waved her hand. Next, we will work together to open the 10th pyramid and get the alien technology. We will be able to locate the people in the laboratory and get rid of them. Right then, Wu Ming raised his hand. What I want to say is that you have been talking about alien technology, but I still don't understand what the alien technology in the 10th pyramid is. Goddess Tower Master Shuiying explained. Don't you know that the 10 pyramids, including the Goddess Tower and the Dark Tower, came from an alien planet? Wu Ming nodded. I know about that, but I don't know the details. Shuiying continued. Since you don't know, we will take the opportunity to explain it to you. With that, she began to tell the story. Many years ago, there were no pets or beasts on the sky blue planet. There were only ordinary animals and plants. Until one day, 10 meteorites fell from the sky and landed on the sky blue planet. Since then, the mutation began. Chapter 459. Wu Ming pressed his lips together as he listened to Shuiying's introduction. He knew that he was finally about to learn the real secret of the sky blue planet. That was of great importance. Shuiying went on. Those 10 meteorites carried special energy. They were scattered all over the sky blue planet and became the basis for the mutation of animals and plants. It was from then on that ferocious beasts began to appear. Later on, after some research, we found out that the 10 meteorites were carrying evolution crystals. Every meteor contains several S-class super evolution crystals and a large number of C-class evolution crystals. Those evolution crystals were scattered all over the world. The special radiation they carried made the sky blue planet a suitable place for pets and beasts to live. Later on, after the radiation weakened, those evolution crystals became usable crystals like these today. The 10 pyramids were found on top of the crater. However, the last pyramid moved. I don't know why. Hearing this, Wu Ming basically understood. So, how many S-grade evolution crystals are there? I remember that there are already 10 known pieces. Wu Ming asked aloud. Shuiying answered. On average, there are 3 S-grade evolution crystals in each meteorite. Most of them are controlled by S-grade warriors. For example, I have one. With that said, Shuiying extended her hand. On her palm, there's a crystal that looks exactly the same as Wu Ming's S-rank super evolution crystal, exuding a cold, radiant energy. Are there so many S-grade evolution crystals? Wu Ming asked. At first, he thought that there were only a dozen S-grade evolution crystals. He didn't know that there were at least 30 of them. Do you have any more questions? Shuiying put away the S-grade evolution crystal. By the way, after pets and beasts reach the S grade, they will need to be irradiated by S grade evolution crystals. At the very least, they will have to be irradiated for 1 hour every 3 years. Otherwise, they will degenerate. They will degenerate. Wu Ming was dumbfounded. Yes, but they will degenerate slowly. Shuang nodded her delicate chin. But even if an S-class degenerates, it's impossible for them to leave S-class until they die. At most, they'll be slightly weaker than their peers. Oh, that's good. Wu Ming nodded. He had thought that without the illumination of the S-rank super evolution crystal, the S-rank would fall to a rank, but it turned out that it was only a slight regression from the original foundation, which was not a big deal. Also, if you can get the radiation from the S-rank super evolution crystal for more than half an hour every day, your improvement speed will obviously double, Shuang added. Understood. Wu Ming nodded. Without the S-rank super evolution crystal, it would slowly degenerate. With the S-class super evolution crystal, one's improvement speed would be doubled. The pets or beasts with Class S super evolution crystals would grow stronger and stronger until they reached the peak of the world. Let's get down to business. Shuang sat down, took out her Goddess Pagoda key, and placed it on the round table in front of her. Wu Ming, Long Jintian, Chu Yuanxuan, and the other 8 pagoda masters also took out their keys and placed them on the round table. The 9 keys formed a circle and emitted a special light. It's activating. Shuang took out the S-rank super evolution crystal and let it release a special radiation to speed up the transformation of the 9 keys. Buzzing. 3 minutes later, the 9 keys rose into the air and flew in a certain direction. Go after them. A pair of wings that looked like a white swan appeared on Shui Ying's back. She flapped her wings and flew up gracefully. Behind her was a field of mist, which carried Wu Ming and the others along. Whoosh! The 9 keys were fast, 3 times the speed of sound, about 1,000 meters per second. Fortunately, Shuang was fast as well. She was able to bring Wu Ming and the others with her. Soon, they flew out of the field of mist. Wu Ming turned around and looked at the fog-shrouded goddess island. He couldn't help but ask, Master of the Goddess Pagoda, aren't you afraid that the field of mist will disappear after you leave the island? The Master of the Goddess Pagoda smiled. I've lived on a goddess island for 100 years. My field of mist has already assimilated the space around the island. Even if I leave, the field of mist will still exist for more than 10 years. So I'll be fine. I see. Wu Ming nodded. Whoosh! They kept flying. Finally, after an hour, they reached the depths of the ocean. The seawater there was dark blue. Splash! All the keys fell into the water and disappeared. Under the sea, Shuang said, the average depth of this sea is more than 5,000 meters. The water pressure is very high. Be careful. Don't be crushed by the water pressure. With that said, Shuang took the lead and dived into the water. The others gritted their teeth and merged with their pets, entering the water. Wu Ming, Long Jintian, Yi Sanyang, Yu Lily, the 4-winged angel and nightingale were all wearing armor made of material balls. They weren't afraid of the pressure at all. They were also equipped with breathing masks, which allowed them to come and go freely under the water. 5,000 meters underwater. The place was already dark and devoid of light. Class A talent, holy light, illumination. Shuang, the owner of the goddess tower, shouted. The water around her was pushed away, forming an ellipsoidal shield with a diameter of 2 meters. The shield was emitting a dazzling light that illuminated the surroundings. Everyone seemed to have found the right direction. They followed Shui Ying and finally arrived at a pyramid in the deep sea. That pyramid was strange. It was 300 meters tall and looked magnificent. The length and width of the base were 500 meters. The pyramid was dark gold in color. A closed door could be seen at the base. Follow me. Shui Ying took the lead. At the moment, the 9 keys were floating in front of the door of the 10th pyramid. They were rotating slowly, as if they were attracted by a special force field. There were 9 grooves on the door of the pyramid. Shui Ying inserted the 9 keys according to the pattern and order, and then took out the Class S Super Evolution Crystal to illuminate the door. 10 seconds later, rumble. The pyramid began to tremble. The door was finally opened. A hazy mist was spreading out, forming a bubble on the surface to prevent the seawater from entering. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Shuang, Wu Ming, and the others stepped through the door. Shuang used the Class S Super Evolution Crystal to illuminate the door. We're finally in. Shuang let out a long breath. The rest of the people also looked relaxed. Let's go. Shuang continued to illuminate and led the group through the 3-meter-wide and 5-meter-tall passage. Ka, ka, ka. The group had just walked 50 meters when a strange mechanical sound was heard. The walls around them opened, and 2 pairs of combat puppets wearing dark red armor walked out. They were holding blazing swords and slashed at the group. They're Class C guard puppets. Wu Ming used his insightful eye to see their origin and quickly reminded the others. Mere Class C, I'll deal with them. Long Jintian merged with the 100 Faces beast and wore the 2nd-generation dark gold armor. He looked like a martial artist wielding a sword as he rushed forward. Rip! Long Jintian easily opened the path for the group by slashing a Class C guard puppet. A few minutes later, everything was calm. The group took a few turns and climbed hundreds of steps before finally reaching the center of the 10th pyramid. This was a large space that was 50 meters long, 40 meters wide, and 30 meters tall. The walls were inlaid with special crystals that illuminated this space. What's that? Eulili pointed at the center of this space. There was a circular stone platform that was 10 meters in diameter and half a meter tall. There were special words engraved on it that no one could understand. And on the circular stone platform, there was a sarcophagus floating. It was 5 meters long, 3 meters wide, and 3 meters tall. It was 3 meters away from the surface of the circular stone platform. It was just floating quietly, and no one knew what was inside. Found it. This is the alien technology we need. Shuang pointed at the floating sarcophagus and breathed heavily. The others looked over as well. Their eyes were filled with excitement, and their breathing gradually quickened. Wu Ming was very cautious and opened his insightful eye first. Name: Esper sarcophagus. Status: sealed. Remark: there's a strange alien technology sealed inside, but it's also accompanied by a terrifying danger. Be careful. Seeing this, Wu Ming's pupil shrank. At the same time, Shuang, Long Jintian, and the other 8 Tower Masters had already walked to the floating sarcophagus and used the radiation of the Grade S Super Evolution Crystal to illuminate the sarcophagus. Buzz! After the Esper sarcophagus absorbed the strange energy, the patterns on its surface began to glow and heat up. The 6 stone slabs automatically spread out and released the seal. Be careful, Wu Ming reminded loudly. But it was too late. After the 6 stone slabs spread out, a strange black cocoon was revealed inside the sarcophagus. It had a maximum diameter of 2 meters and a length of 4 meters. The surface of the cocoon flashed with strange light patterns. A terrifying aura gradually awakened from the black cocoon, and it sent chills down one's spine. Wu Ming immediately opened his insightful eye. Name: God of Darkness. Status: unsealed. Grade: Grade S talents. Grade S devouring eye. Grade S terrifying claw. Grade a seraphic speed. Grade a divine healing. Remark: a terrifying hunter. After awakening, it will kill all the creatures nearby and devour them for its own use. It's really looking for death, Wu Ming complained. Then he took out a large number of spiritual matter balls and threw them in all directions. Crack! At the same time, the black cocoon quickly exploded and bounced off the 2 spiritual matter balls that were thrown at it, revealing the true appearance of the God of Darkness. It was a humanoid creature that was 3 meters tall. It looked similar to a vampire, but its entire body was black and covered with strange black leather armor. The bat wings on its back flapped gently, and it was like a black phantom that swept across the sky. Be careful, Shuang warned loudly and took the initiative to attack. She used her Grade S talent, Sword of Destruction, and formed a golden light sword. She held it tightly and slashed at the God of Darkness. However, this sword strike missed. After the god of darkness dodged the sword, it quickly arrived in front of a grade B beast tamer and slashed him in half. This scene instantly stunned everyone. Chapter 460. Sigh. I told you not to rush. Wu Ming felt helpless. These people were too impulsive. Otherwise, the god of darkness wouldn't have been able to escape. Despite his helplessness, Wu Ming immediately controlled the spiritual material balls to interweave into a net in the air to protect him. Yi San Yang, Yu Lily, the four-winged angel, and the others. If he had made a move first and used the spiritual material balls to form a net to surround the ultra sarcophagus, it wouldn't have become such a dangerous situation. In the air, crack, crack, a black vortex appeared in the abdomen of the god of darkness and turned into a mouth with dense fangs. It bit the dead B-grade beast tamer and swallowed him in a few bites. That scene was even more frightening. Oh my god, a B-grade beast tamer was eaten just like that. Hurry up and attack it. Everyone was in a mess. Immediately after, they immediately joined forces with their pets. Some threw out frost storm, some slashed out sharp auras, and some simply spat out flames. Rip! The god of darkness suddenly flapped its wings and easily dodged the attacks of dozens of pets. It was not injured at all. This is an S-grade beast. Be careful, Shuang reminded loudly. Everyone present felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. They trembled violently and almost fell to the ground. On the ground, Yi San Yang and Yu Lily, who were next to Wu Ming, trembled. They could not help but widen their almond eyes in fear. S-grade beast. Wouldn't it be over for them? Right? S-grade beast. Isn't it here? Wu Ming thought of something and quickly took out the S-grade master ball that he had bought previously. In the air, the god of darkness was flying quickly. As an S-grade beast, it was very fast. Even in the space inside the pyramid, it could fly at supersonic speed. No one could hit it. Ah, there's a delicious S-grade beast. At this moment, the god of darkness stared at Shui Ying and could not help but lick its lips. You want to eat me? How dare you? Shui Ying scolded. A-grade talent, goddess sacred armor. S-grade talent, goddess descends. Shui Ying used two talents at the same time. Her body was first covered by a layer of crystal armor. Her entire body was airtight and invulnerable. This was the A-rank talent, goddess sacred armor. Then, Snow Shadow's body began to glow. Her body seemed to be covered by a slender shadow of a goddess, which turned into a second layer of shield to protect her. Just as the armor was formed, the god of darkness arrived. S-class Terror Claw. The god of darkness stretched out two sharp claws. The surface of the claws was actually covered with a purplish gold light. It looked very strange. Rip! The collision of the two S-rank talents caused the goddess shadow on the surface of Shui Ying's body to shake violently. However, it was not broken. Instead, the god of darkness was repelled. You guys go and help too. Wu Ming immediately released the demon atomic beast and the rainbow-winged chameleon. The two of them attacked from both sides. One transformed into a black saber and slashed out, while the other transformed into an A-class super dragon and slashed down with its sharp claws. Yo, two A-class warriors? The god of darkness sneered. It flapped its wings and easily dodged the pincer attack of the demon atomic beast and the rainbow-winged chameleon. It waved its terrifying claws and sent them flying. Boom! The demon atomic beast and the rainbow-winged chameleon landed heavily on the ground. Fortunately, they were wearing dark gold armor. Otherwise, they would have been torn apart by the S-class Terror Claw. Eat my saber. At this moment, Long Jintian was wearing the metal armor transformed by the Hundred Faces beast. The surface of the armor was still covered with dark gold armor. He used the A-class talent Blazing Light Blade and slashed towards the god of darkness. Too weak. The god of darkness waved its S-class Terror Claw and easily shattered Long Jintian's Blazing Light Blade. It then stomped heavily on Long Jintian's stomach. Humph! A-class Sky Piercing Cannon. Long Jintian was not to be outdone. A light cannon appeared on his chest. A sky-piercing cannon shot out and finally hit the god of darkness, who was just inches away. Attack! The other beast tamers took the opportunity to attack. Dozens of talents intertwined to form an explosive shockwave that hit the surface of the god of darkness body. It was sent flying and crashed heavily onto the wall. On the ground, Wu Ming was still looking for an opportunity. I have to find an opportunity to take down the god of darkness. Otherwise, his speed is too fast. Although the S-Class Master Ball can track him, it doesn't seem to be able to keep up with his speed. Most importantly, the god of darkness's S-Class Talent Terror Claw seems to be able to break the S-Class Master Ball. Wu Ming held the Master Ball tightly. His eyes were cold. The reason why he did not throw out the S-Class Master Ball was because the time was not right yet. Bastard die. At this moment, the Goddess Tower Master, Shui Ying, attacked again. She arrived in front of the God of Darkness in an instant. She waved the S-Class Destruction Sword and slashed down with all her might. Get lost! The God of Darkness roared. The ferocious mouth on its lower abdomen immediately spat out an air cannon. This caused Shui Ying's figure to change direction. The Destruction Sword slashed onto the wall. Die! The God of Darkness saw the opportunity and slashed its claws onto Shui Ying's body. However, it was still bounced off by the S-Class Talent Goddess Descent and the A-Class Talent Goddess Sacred Armor. So hard like a tortoise shell, the God of Darkness roared. Shui Ying took the opportunity to wave the S-Class Destruction Sword and slashed horizontally, trying to cut off the God of Darkness' head. Damn it! The God of Darkness quickly lowered its body and shrunk its neck, causing the Destruction Sword to fly past its head. The next moment, the God of Darkness seized the opportunity and pounced forward. Its two claws slashed crazily on Shui Ying's body. The real Destruction Sword fell out of her hands and landed on the ground. Blazing Light Blade, Sky-Piercing Cannon. The other beast tamers took the opportunity to attack. Dozens of A-Class and B-Class talents attacked the God of Darkness at the same time. It felt numb on its scalp and immediately dodged. Want to leave? Too late. Shui Ying grabbed one of the God of Darkness's wings forcefully, causing it to be unable to escape. Dozens of talents landed on its body, and finally, its skin and flesh were torn apart. Sword come. Shui Ying stretched out her right hand. The S-Class Destruction Sword that fell on the ground immediately flew back. She caught it with her hands and slashed it towards the God of Darkness. Half of the God of Darkness's wing was cut off. It let out a heart-wrenching scream and landed heavily on the ground. Good chance. Wu Ming's eyes lit up. He locked onto the God of Darkness with the S-Class Master Ball and smashed it with all his might. On the other side, you all really deserve to die. The God of Darkness had already stood up. Just as it cursed, it realized something was smashing towards it. It turned around subconsciously and flapped half of its wings to retreat. In its sight, the God of Darkness clearly saw a light ball coming towards it. It immediately used the S-Class talent Eye of Devouring. The ferocious mouth on its abdomen immediately opened and released a terrifying suction force. Whoosh! The S-Class Master Ball was swallowed into the God of Darkness's stomach just like that. It immediately lost contact with Wu Ming. What the heck? Wu Ming was dumbfounded. The Dark God had actually swallowed an S-grade Master's Ball. This was too much of a pain in the ass. What did you smash? Shui Ying turned around and glanced at Wu Ming. A bomb with a special restriction drug inside. It can control the God of Darkness. But who knew that it would be swallowed by its S-Class talent just like that? Wu Ming spread his hands and could only explain it this way. Hearing that, Shui Ying did not suspect anything. As a genius trainer, it was reasonable for Wu Ming to carry a restriction drug that could control berserk beasts. Your restriction drug was swallowed by its S-Class talent. It should be useless now, Shui Ying said. Maybe. Wu Ming smiled bitterly. That's an S-ranked Master's Ball. And it was gone just like that. At this moment, Wu Ming suddenly felt that the connection between him and the S-Class Master Ball was still there. However, it was intermittent and did not seem to be destroyed. There's still hope. Wu Ming was overjoyed. Not far ahead, Shuang held the S-Class Destruction sword with both hands and raised it up high. He was ready to slash at the god of darkness on the ground. Want to kill me? No way. A-Class talent, divine recovery. The god of darkness grinned and jumped up. The broken half of its wing flew towards Shuang and reattached itself in midair. At the wound, a green light flashed. In the blink of an eye, the god of darkness wing was reattached. It could once again fly quickly in the secret room and avoid the crazy attacks of the crowd. This is the A-Class talent, divine recovery. The so-called divine recovery is the abbreviation of the divine level healing technique. With this talent, as long as the god of darkness does not die on the spot, it can recover. Wu Ming introduced in a deep voice. Hearing that, the crowd's expression changed. What should we do next? Zhou Hong, the master of the Sky Wolf Tower, looked at Wu Ming and wanted to know his opinion. Think of a way to trap the god of darkness, Wu Ming said. How can we trap it? Many beast tamers smiled bitterly. The god of darkness was an experienced S-Class. It was of the same grade as the master of the goddess tower, Shuang. Other than Shuang, who could catch up with it? Trapping him could be said to be a fantasy. Trap me? Then I'll kill you until you're scared. The god of darkness grinned hideously. With a leap, it arrived in front of the two B-Class beast tamers and tore at them with its sharp claws. The two beast tamers screamed. Together with their pets, they were torn apart by the S-Class terrifying claws. Then, they were eaten by the S-Class devouring eye. This made the god of darkness life force much stronger. Kill! Many beast tamers fought back immediately. However, other than Shuang and a few A-Class beast tamers who were present, the rest of the B-Class beast tamers and their pets were killed one after another. Before long, only a dozen or so beast tamers were left alive out of the dozens of beast tamers. You will die too. The god of darkness targeted one of the 9 tower masters, the B-Class beast tamer, Chu Yuanshuan. In an instant, it arrived in front of him. Master of the Tower of Beasts, be careful. The other tower masters quickly reminded him. However, it was too late. The god of darkness's S-Class terrifying claws struck down. It was hopeless. Even Chu Yuanshuan froze on the spot. Clang! In the next moment, a strange phenomenon happened. The god of darkness's S-Class terrifying claws struck Chu Yuanshuan, but only created a lot of sparks. Chu Yuanshuan was sent flying for a dozen meters and fell next to Wu Ming. I'm not dead. Chu Yuanshuan was stunned. He touched his chest and realized that there was an extra set of dark golden armor on his body. It worked. Wu Ming grinned. Of course, he was the one who threw this set of dark golden armor to Chu Yuanshuan in advance. Otherwise, Chu Yuanshuan would have died on the spot. What kind of defensive armor is this? The god of darkness was also shocked. Moreover, it had a strange feeling in its heart. It quickly flew toward the entrance of the tunnel. Don't let it escape. Shuang immediately waved the sword of destruction and chased after the god of darkness. Pop! However, a strange energy shock wave spurted out from the depths of the dark tunnel and bombarded Shuang. She was sent flying for a dozen meters along with her sword. Be careful! Wu Ming subconsciously stretched out his hand, one hand supporting Shui Ying's back, the other pressing on her fleshless lower abdomen, causing Shui Ying's pretty face to redden. Tap, tap, tap. At this moment, in the dark tunnel, strange footsteps could be heard. It was like a muffled thunder that struck everyone's heart. Someone's here. Shuang quickly broke free from Wu Ming's embrace and looked toward the entrance of the tunnel with the other beast tamers. There, a few figures were walking out. Chapter 461. At the entrance of the passageway, 8 figures walked out. One of the figures was the arrogant dark deity. At this moment, he was being strangled by a thick and strong hand. He was struggling with his legs. Let me go. The dark deity struggled with all his might. S-Class claws kept slashing at the thick arm that was strangling his neck. However, his claws were bounced off by the tough leather armor. He could not break through the defense at all. Just a senior S-Class. Too weak. A cold voice sounded. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice. The one who grabbed the god of darkness was a giant ape that was 2 meters tall and had a muscular body. Behind the giant ape stood 6 figures. One was the person in charge of the laboratory, Li Dalian. The other was a female secretary in a sexy office lady outfit. The remaining 4 people had the body of a giant ape but the head of a tiger. Their eyes were filled with wisdom and coldness. Other than the dark deity, the remaining 7 people were all from the laboratory. The weakest of them was a Class A. Their overall strength was terrifying. Li Dalian. The moment they saw these people, the 9 tower heads, Yu Lily, and the other survivors were all dumbfounded. "Ah, that's right. It's me." Li Dalian walked with arrogant steps. His hands kept swinging left and right. His face was filled with arrogance. His experiment was very successful. Although the human consciousness occupied the body of a chimpanzee, after constant medication and plastic surgery, the current Li Dalian looked like a normal man. Of course, his mouth was slightly protruding. It looked like he had buck teeth. "Wu Ming, we finally meet officially. Long Jinqian, you Lily, you bastards. You're all still alive. This is unbelievable." Li Dalian stared at Wu Ming fiercely. "The power of your B-class explosive pill is not bad. It successfully scratched my itch." Wu Ming grinned and mocked. "Bastard," Li Dalian roared. Since the national competition, he had sent people to kill Wu Ming many times. However, they all failed. This made him lose face. Even a B-class explosive pill could not kill him. This made Li Dalian extremely angry. "Stop talking." At that moment, the great ape that was holding the god of darkness finally spoke. "Yes, Lord Alliance Master." Li Dalian immediately bowed and retreated to the side. Ta-ta-ta. The 2-meter-tall great ape held the neck of the god of darkness and stood at the forefront. His body radiated a powerful aura, and his eyes were filled with arrogance. Pinnacle S rank. Goddess Tower Master Shui Ying's expression turned ugly. Even the experienced S-grade god of darkness was controlled by the giant ape. In that case, his strength was at least at the pinnacle of S-grade, which was enough to defeat the 9 Tower Masters present. Thinking of this, Shui Ying could not help but grit her teeth. "Are you the chief of the Pet Alliance?" "No. I've seen the Alliance leader before. Although he's also a Pinnacle S rank, his aura is completely different from yours. It can't be the same person," Shui Ying asked in a low voice. The giant ape sneered. "Of course I'm not the Alliance Master, because I'm the Vice Leader, Tan Gong. Li Dalian called me Alliance Master just out of politeness. But when I kill you, I will be able to reach the SS rank. By then, not even the old guys of the Pet Alliance will be able to defeat me." Hearing this, Shui Ying turned pale. "You're Tan Gong, the philanthropist? I didn't know that you're the one behind the scenes." All the Tower Masters present shouted in surprise. "Tan Gong?" Wu Ming thought about this person's name and realized that this person was a rich man in the EC town. It was said that he had lived for more than 100 years, a truly old man. Tan Gong had a woman named Tan Shintong. He got her when he was 80 years old. At the moment, Tan Shintong was only in her 30s, very young. In the EC town, Tan Gong's family was not as powerful as the 4 major families. Even so, they still had assets worth trillions. They would often sponsor the poor and adopt many people. Such a great philanthropist was actually the mastermind behind the laboratory. This was truly shocking. Ha ha ha. All of a sudden, Tan Gong burst into laughter. "You think I'm a philanthropist? You're wrong. The reason why I'm doing this is merely to deceive others and not let others know of my methods. Those wanderers I sponsored didn't go overseas to live in the new world at all. Instead, they all became experimental subjects in the laboratory. Without these experimental subjects, how could our laboratory have developed a perfect fusion method for pets and humans?" At this point, the giant ape Tan Gong laughed even more wildly. At this moment, Wu Ming threw out this serious question. "How did you find this place?" "Yes. How did you get here? Is there a traitor among us?" The 9 Tower Masters present all looked around. Among them, the 3 Tower Masters, Heaven Wolf, North Pole, and Ice Frost, all stared at Yu Lily and roared, "Did you do this?" "No, it wasn't me." Yu Lily couldn't defend herself. Tan Gong was very happy to see that the members of the Tower Master Club were in a mess. He sneered. On the ground, Wu Ming looked at the rocks around. Although he wanted to launch a sneak attack with the material ball, this method was almost impossible because there was no shelter nearby. He had to give up. Therefore, he looked at Tan Gong and the others. He quietly activated the Eye of Insight. Name, Tan Gong. Rank, Peak of Class S Race. New Human Talents. Class S Astral Fury. Class S Violence. Class S Super Leather Armor. Class S Devouring Fusion. Class S Hard Shield. Wu Ming couldn't help but open his eyes wide. The Great Ape Tan Gong actually had 2 S-Class defenses. No wonder even the Class S claws of the God of Darkness couldn't break through Tan Gong's defense. It has 2 layers of defense. Wu Ming said to himself, "Where did you get in?" At this time, Long Jintian asked in a deep voice, his face solemn. "Is it difficult to get in?" The sexy secretary, Tan Shintong, giggled. A Class S Super Evolution crystal appeared in her hand. Shuang snorted. The 9 keys were left at the entrance. As long as you have the Class S Super Evolution crystal, you can come in. No wonder you can follow us all the way here. Damn it, both of you are saying different things. Do you think I, the God of Darkness, am not here? Just then, the God of Darkness scolded. Oh, right. If you didn't speak, I would have forgotten that you were still being strangled by me. Tan Gong looked at the God of Darkness and suddenly grinned. The next moment, Tan Gong suddenly used his Class S Devouring Fusion and merged the God of Darkness into his body. Then, Tan Gong grew from 2 meters to 2.5 meters tall. The aura he emitted was even more terrifying. Beep, beep, beep. The energy detector in Yi Sanyang's hand was ringing crazily. There was an explosive sound. His energy index has reached Class SS. Yi Sanyang exclaimed. Wu Ming used the Eye of Insight to look at Tan Gong. He finally knew the effect of the Class S Devouring Fusion. His face sank as he said, "Only his energy index has reached Class SS. However, he has not awakened his Class SS talent. His combat power is only half of what it was before." Hearing this, everyone smiled bitterly. Brother Wu Ming, Tan Gong was originally a Class S pinnacle. Now that his combat power has increased by half, we can't defeat him. Long Jintian sighed. Good. Finally, I have devoured in Class S. Next, I will devour all of you. Maybe I can reach the peak of Class SS and sweep away that damn Pet Alliance. Tan Gong stared at Shuang. Be careful. Shuang held the Class S Sword of Destruction tightly, ready to fight back. Ha ha, kill. Right at this moment, the 3 Tower Masters who had previously accused Yu Lily of being a spy suddenly erupted with A-class strength and instantly bombarded the back of Snow Shadow. Boom! Even though Shui Ying had used Class S Goddess's Descent and Class A Goddess Holy Armor, she was still knocked away by the sudden attack. She was very close to Tan Gong. Berserk Divine Ability, Violence. Tan Gong seized the opportunity to use Class S Berserk Divine Ability and Class S Violence. His fist was emitting a dazzling glow. Like a meteorite, he smashed at Shuang. No, Shuang realized that the 3 Chief Masters were traitors. She was frightened. She wielded the Class S Sword of Destruction in front of her to block the attack. Boom! Tan Gong's fist finally landed on the Class S Sword of Destruction, which burst into flames and splashed in all directions. But that was not the end. Tan Gong's heavy fist continued to bombard the Goddess Tower Master, Shui Ying's abdomen, shattering the light screen formed by the S-rank talent, Goddess Descent. The A-rank Goddess Sacred Armor on the surface of her body also shattered. Bang! Shui Ying was smashed into the wall. She spat out blood and slid down weakly. Goddess! Long Jintian, Chu Yuan, and the others turned pale with fright. Ha. Sorry. We're spies. Sky Wolf, Frost, and Arctic Pagoda Masters walked to Tan Gong's side and grinned at Wu Ming and the others. You did a good job. Not only did you tell us the coordinates, but you also attacked Shui Ying first. You let me take control of the situation. I will reward you. The giant ape Tan Gong praised. Thank you, Grandpa Tan. Sky Wolf, North Pole, and Frost Tower masters grinned. Traitor, you'll die a horrible death. The two chief masters of the Federation and the South Pole could not help but curse. Don't curse, it's useless. Zhou Hong spread his hands. You can only blame yourselves for not knowing the current situation and going against the laboratory. Bastards, Long Jintian roared. Don't talk nonsense with them. Cough, cough. Shuang leaned against the wall with difficulty, bleeding from the corner of her mouth. Stop talking. Wu Ming walked to Shui Ying's side and helped her up. Unfortunately, my sister isn't here. Shui Ying and Wu Ming looked at each other, their eyes filled with helplessness. Actually, it's not like we don't have a way. Wu Ming's deep voice sounded. A round dark red bead appeared in his hand, and he pressed it against Shui Ying's abdomen. This is... Shui Ying was shocked. Like quicksand, the dark red bead quickly covered his entire body, forming a perfect armor. Third-generation dragon-scale armor, energy absorption, earthquake resistance, and heat insulation. It's a pity you couldn't wear it just now. Wu Ming sighed. Today's events were too sudden. Not only did he not have the chance to set up the Matter Spirit Ball trap, but he also didn't have time to let Shui Ying wear the third-generation dragon-scale armor. If Shui Ying had worn the armor earlier, she wouldn't have been seriously injured by Tan Gong. Not far away. Li Daliang grinned. Wu Ming, what time is it now? You're still flirting with Shui Ying? I heard you have a lot of female friends. Now, you won't even let Shui Ying go, right? Shui Ying's face reddened. Wu Ming didn't look surprised. Li Daliang, you could be a good person, but you have to be a bastard. Why bother? And you guys as well. Speaking of this, Wu Ming looked at Tan Gong and the four new humans with the body of a giant ape and the head of a tiger. You're Wu Ming, right? Since you're a genius trainer, I can spare your life if you marry my daughter and work for a laboratory for the rest of your life. The giant ape Tan Gong laughed loudly. Dad, there's so many people here. How can I do that? The sexy Tan Shintong chuckled. When she looked at Wu Ming, a strange light flashed in her eyes. The moment he met her eyes, Wu Ming had a special feeling that the other party was a little familiar. It was as if he had indirect contact with the other party. Is it an illusion? Wu Ming was puzzled. Wu Ming, our Tan Gong is asking you a question. Are you mute? Hurry up and say something. Li Daliang urged. Shuang looked at Wu Ming, who was supporting her. Because he was also wearing the third-generation dragon-scale armor, Shui Ying couldn't see the expression on Wu Ming's face. She was very worried. The two pagoda masters of the Federation and the South Pole, Long Jintian, Chu Yuan, Yu Lily, and Yi Sanyang all looked at Wu Ming. They all wanted to know Wu Ming's choice. Chapter 462. I refuse, Wu Ming said. His voice was not loud, but it spread all around and fell clearly into everyone's ears. Shui Ying's delicate body trembled, and she was obviously relieved. Long Jintian and the others were also relieved. Li Daliang, on the other hand, cursed, Wu Ming, don't be shameless. What's wrong with joining our laboratory? Could it be that you want to die? Tan Shintong was calm on the surface. However, she secretly heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. It seems that my previous choice was right, Tan Shintong secretly said. Here, no one knew that she had helped Wu Ming at some point in time. Even Wu Ming and the giant ape Tan Gong did not know. Among the people present, only she knew. Hearing that Wu Ming had rejected him, the giant ape Tan Gong was not angry, but asked in a calm voice, Wu Ming, are you sure you don't want to think about it? Sometimes, some impulsive decisions may harm you for the rest of your life. Wu Ming shook his head. There's no need to think about it. I like a free life and don't want to join your laboratory. Moreover, I don't agree with what you do. Speaking of this, Wu Ming took out the golden A-class ion sword. His attitude was already very clear. No surrender, fight to the end. Young people are impulsive. Tan Gong shook his head. Wu Ming, in fact, I admire you very much. If you can join our laboratory, in the future, I can make you a noble above tens of thousands of people. What a pity. People of different paths cannot work together, Wu Ming said solemnly. Well, then die. The giant ape Tan Gong nodded, raised his fist, and launched an attack with a cold expression. Boom! In an instant, Tan Gong had already arrived in front of him. That meteorite-like fist fiercely smashed into Wu Ming's chest, setting off billowing waves of air. Be careful. Shui Ying endured the pain and continued to use the A-class talent goddess sacred armor and the S-class talent goddess descends. She also activated the S-class talent sword of destruction, holding the blazing sharp sword with both hands in front of her. I'll be fine. However, he saw Wu Ming standing in front of him. You'll die like this. Before Shui Ying could finish her words, Tan Gong's fist had already smashed into Wu Ming's chest. Boom! Wu Ming didn't even have the chance to swing his sword before he was sent flying, crashing heavily into the wall. Step! Wu Ming only coughed and fell to the ground, making muffled footsteps. He didn't die. Even the armor on his chest was not damaged. However, with this punch, Wu Ming's third-generation dragon-scale armor was almost fully loaded, and its surface was full of resplendent light. Haha, I'm not dead. Wu Ming laughed heartily as he gripped the A-class ion sword tightly. How is this possible? Other than Yi Sanyang, everyone else sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling incredulous. That was a heavy punch that could even break an S-level goddess descent. How did Wu Ming, an A-level beast tamer, block it? You didn't die. The giant ape Tan Gong's expression changed slightly. Is it because of the armor on your body? That's right. Wu Ming laughed and stomped hard on the ground. Countless energy shock waves appeared under his feet, causing him to fly out at a speed of a few hundred meters per second, crashing heavily into Tan Gong's body. Bang! Tan Gong flew back a few meters, and Wu Ming took the opportunity to slash continuously with the A-class ion sword. Every slash hit Tan Gong's face, leaving many shallow scratches. There's something wrong with your armor. Tan Gong sent Wu Ming flying with a punch, then touched his face, anger gradually showing in his eyes. To him, this kind of small injury that only left scratches and didn't even have a trace of blood was nothing. However, this was an insult. Wu Ming, I'm going to tear you into pieces. Tan Gong quickly launched an attack and arrived at Wu Ming's side in an instant. He waved his heavy fist and was about to smash down. You can't kill me, Wu Ming sneered. He condensed a round shield with a diameter of 0.5 meter with a matter spiritual orb to block Tan Gong's heavy fist. After that, Wu Ming was sent flying. Die! Shui Ying didn't stay idle. She flapped her wings and arrived in front of Tan Gong in an instant. She waved the S-class destruction sword and slashed down with all her might, but it was caught by Tan Gong's hand. S-class devour. Tan Gong took the opportunity to grab Shui Ying's neck and activated this talent, but found that he couldn't devour Shui Ying at all. What's going on? Tan Gong couldn't help but open his eyes wide. You can't hurt her through the dragon scale armor. Wu Ming rushed over from afar, relying on his own acceleration, and punched Tan Gong's face, leaving behind the matter spiritual orb. Ding! A crisp sound rang out. After the matter spiritual orb came into contact with Tan Gong, it quickly spread out like quicksand. What the hell is this? Tan Gong's expression changed greatly, and his body turned into quicksand. He let go of Shui Ying and flew into the distance. He actually escaped? Wu Ming was dumbfounded. Tan Gong's body actually had the ability to transform into quicksand and escape from the gaps of the matter spiritual orb's cage. If that was the case, it will be difficult to deal with. You have quite a lot of means. Shui Ying looked at Wu Ming beside her and then looked at the third-generation dragon scale armor on her body. Her face was full of surprise. This armor is very strong. Of course, Wu Ming grinned. The matter spiritual orb was the hardest thing known. How could a dragon scale armor made of this material not be strong? Even an SS class couldn't break it. Not far away, Tan Gong retreated to Li Daliang, Tin Shintong, and the other side. His face was full of coldness. The armor on your body is very interesting, but it seems that only the few of you have it. Tangong looked at the two Tower Masters, Federation and South Pole. Not good. The two suddenly fell to chill on their backs and quickly retreated, but it was too late. Boom! Tangong instantly exceeded the speed of sound and arrived in front of the two Tower Masters. With one punch each, he smashed them into pieces, killing them on the spot. You damn it! Shuang was furious. The two Tower Masters who didn't betray her died, just like that. It's all my fault. If I had known that Sky Wolf, North Pole, and Frost were traitors, how could this have happened? Shuang could not help but blame herself. Kakik, everything is futile. You people are destined to die here today. Tangong's body was bathed in blood, and his face was cold. At this moment, he was like the most terrifying demon in the world. Listen to my order, kill. Tangong finally gave the order. Yes. Li Daliang nodded and quickly put on the gloves made of special alloy. He then charged toward Long Jintian and Chu Yuanxuan. Good fellow, 1 against 2? You're very arrogant. Chu Yuanxuan, let's work together and kill this idiot. Long Jintian immediately clenched his fists and roared. Understood. Chu Yuanxuan nodded. The next moment, Long Jintian and Chu Yuanxuan worked together. One was a peak, while the other was a peak B, and they charged toward Li Daliang. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of metal colliding could be heard continuously. Because Chu Yuanxuan and Long Jintian were wearing the second-generation dark gold armor, their defense was very strong. Hence, they were not afraid of Li Daliang. Ta-ta-ta. The 4 A-class bodyguards with 8 bodies and tiger heads also charged out, cooperating with Tangong to attack Shuang. Let me help you. Wu Ming held the A-class ion sword in his hand and helped Shuang fight against Tangong and the 4 A-class guards. Yu Lily and Yi Senyang worked together to attack Sky Wolf, Arctic, and Frost, the 3 Tower Masters who had betrayed the Tower Master Club. However, the 2 women were instantly at a disadvantage. How exciting! At the entrance of the passage, Tan Shintong did not make a move. She stood there with her arms crossed, making the arrogance in front of her even more magnificent. She was like a mountain that blocked everyone's path. Roar! The rainbow-winged chameleon and the demon atomic beast attacked again, helping Yi Senyang and Yu Lily to attack Sky Wolf, Arctic, and Frost. However, these 3 Tower Masters were all elite A-class. Even if they were surrounded, they were still brave and invincible. In the darkness, Netherworld Sovereign was still concealing himself. He went behind Tan Shintong at the entrance of the passage and was about to launch a surprise attack to kill her. However, Netherworld Sovereign's sharp senses detected a familiar aura from Tan Shintong's body. The sharp claws that had just reached out quietly retracted. Whoosh! Netherworld Sovereign quickly crossed the sky and arrived above Sky Wolf Tower Master, revealing his figure at this moment. Why is there a black cat? Sky Wolf Tower Master's expression changed greatly. Rip! Netherworld Sovereign did not give him a chance to resist. With a wave of his sharp claws, he cut off Sky Wolf Tower Master's neck. A senior A-class died on the spot. Why is there an A-class black cat? The remaining 2 Tower Masters, Frost and Arctic, had a sudden change in expression. Netherworld Sovereign go! Yi Senyang was overjoyed. She quickly rushed up and used the protection of the 3rd-generation dragon scale armor on her body to entangle Frost Tower Master's delicate body. Get lost! Frost Tower Master was a cold, middle-aged woman. After being entangled by Yi Senyang, her expression changed greatly. Rip! Right at this moment, the Nether Exalt returned. With a slash of his sharp claws, Frost Tower Master's head flew into the sky and died on the spot. Of the 3 betrayers, only Arctic Tower Master was left. Wagon! Arctic Tower Master turned around and ran. You can't escape. The 4-winged angel beast also charged over, waving its blazing light sword and heavily slashing Arctic Tower Master's head, smashing him to the ground. Hiss! Arctic Tower Master's pet, an A-class Arctic wolf, suddenly jumped up from the ground and bit the four-winged angel beast. Whoosh! However, the four-winged angel beast flapped its wings and dodged this attack. Meow! Netherworld Sovereign took the opportunity to attack. He jumped onto the A-class Arctic Wolf's head and wildly slashed with his two sharp claws, leaving behind a shocking wound. Next, it's my turn. Yi San Yang charged over, holding the A-class ion sword with both hands and stabbing at the wound on the A-class Arctic Wolf's head. Ow! The A-class Arctic Wolf's head was pierced and it died on the spot. On the ground, Arctic Tower Master's neck was also cut off by Yulili. Since then, the three betrayers had all died. Go surround Li Daliang, Yulili, Yi San Yang, the four-winged angel beast, Netherworld Sovereign, the demon atomic beast, and the rainbow-winged chameleon. A large group of B-class and A-class experts charged over aggressively. In an instant, Li Daliang was surrounded. F*CKU. Li Daliang looked at the many B-class and A-class experts surrounding him and cursed on the spot. Tan Shintong, why aren't you helping? Li Daliang was covered in wounds from the attacks of Long Jintian and the other A-class experts. He hurriedly urged Tan Shintong, who was standing at the entrance of the passage. Yawn. Tan Shintong yawned. My mission is to guard the entrance. As for your life and death, I don't care. F*CKU. Li Daliang's heart exploded. However, Tinggong was still there. He did not dare to offend Tan Shintong and could only brace himself to resist the attacks of the A-class experts. In the center of the battle, Shuang and Wu Ming worked together, cooperating very well. They attacked Tinggong while fighting against the four A-class guards. They were temporarily at a disadvantage. However, Wu Ming and Shuang were wearing the third-generation dragon scale armor. It could absorb energy, block cuts, and isolate heat. Not only were they not afraid of Tan Gong's heavy punches, they could also take the opportunity to absorb energy to resist. Don't worry about me. Go help Li Daliang. Tan Gong ordered coldly. The four A-class guards immediately turned around and charged into the distant battle, sending Yulili, Chu Yuan, Yi San Yang, and the other B-class experts flying. Haha, you're all dead. Seeing Tan Gong's four A-class guards coming to help, Li Daliang could not help but grin. He hurriedly retreated to the side and injected himself with a special life potion. The injuries on his body quickly recovered. Isn't this guy too hard to kill? Yi San Yang, who was sent flying, could not help but gnash her teeth. Li Daliang, who was surrounded by a group of A-class and B-class experts, was still alive after so long. Yi San Yang found it unbelievable that he could hold on until reinforcements arrived. Li Daliang is the person in charge of the laboratory. He uses all kinds of black technology. How can he not be strong? His overall strength is already infinitely close to S-class. Yulili was helpless. So strong. Yi San Yang could not help but be shocked. Rip. At this moment, an A-class guard with an ape's body and a tiger's head pounced over. Two punches bombarded Yi San Yang and Yulili at the same time, sending them flying. If not for the armor, they would not have been able to hold on. With the addition of the four A-class experts, Yi San Yang and Long Jintian's side fell into a passive state again. Kill. After Li Daliang recovered from his injuries with the help of the healing potion, he suddenly roared and turned into a 3-meter-tall giant ape. His whole body was burning with flames as he sent Long Jintian flying with a punch. We're under too much pressure. Long Jintian could not help but grit his teeth. Compared to the boss, what's our pressure? He and the Snow Shadow Tower Master are working together to deal with the SS-class giant ape Tan Gong. Yi San Yang said in a deep voice. Sigh, that's true. Long Jintian sighed. Then, he waved his saber again and joined the battle. In the center of the battle, relying on the dragon scale armor, Shuang and Wu Ming finally managed to hold back the giant ape Tan Gong. Although they could not see the dawn of victory, at least they could fight evenly. Wu Ming, go help them. Leave this to me. Shuang pushed hard, and Wu Ming flew out more than 10 meters, joining the battle group, besieging Li Daliang. Just a senior S-class. If not for the armor on your body, do you think you're worthy to fight against me? Tan Gong looked coldly at Shui Ying and sent her flying with a punch. I'm relying on the armor to hold you back. So what? Bite me. Shui Ying laughed. She waved the S-class destruction sword and stabbed at Tan Gong's eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and other weak parts. Tan Gong was so angry that he kept cursing. On the other side of the battle group, Wu Ming held the A-class ion sword in his right hand and a shield formed by the matter orb in his left hand as he jumped with all his might. Li Daliang died. As he spoke, he waved the ion sword and used all his strength to slash at Li Daliang's head. Wu Ming, it's you. When Li Daliang saw Wu Ming, his eyes were filled with killing intent. A battle that seemed to be predestined instantly broke out. Chapter 463. Rip. Wu Ming used his round shield to block Li Daliang's heavy fist, while his right hand waved the A-ranked ion sword and accurately pierced Li Daliang's left ear. Li Daliang could not help but let out a miserable scream. His voice was like a shockwave, causing the others to feel a tightness in their chest and quickly retreated. Wu Ming died for me. Li Daliang's left ear was almost deaf. Both of his fists were crazily waving, each punch containing 10,000 tons of power, causing Wu Ming's body to glow and fly out like a meteor. What a powerful force! However, it will be used by me in the end. Wu Ming heavily smashed against the wall, but he only felt pain all over his body, without any injuries. He could not help but laugh. Boom! The energy absorbed by the dragon scale armor instantly erupted, and his whole body flew out like a rocket. In less than a blink of an eye, he crashed into Li Daliang. Wah! Li Daliang's body was in pain from the collision, and he retreated a few steps. Wu Ming took the opportunity to throw out a matter spirit ball, which wrapped around Li Daliang's arm and began to spread throughout his body. What the hell is this? Li Daliang's expression changed greatly. He tried to tear the matter spirit ball that had already covered his entire right arm, but he discovered that his other hand was also entangled, and both of his hands were completely locked. Why aren't you coming to help me? Li Daliang cursed. You have no chance. Even if the Heavenly Emperor came, he would not be able to save you. Wu Ming's expression was cold. If someone looked carefully, they would discover that there were several black threads on Wu Ming's hand that were connected to the giant ape that Li Daliang had transformed into, controlling the shape of the matter spirit ball. In just a short second, Li Daliang's entire body was covered by the black matter spirit ball, and it looked like a giant ape statue that was roaring towards the sky. You're courting death. 4 A-ranked guards with 8 bodies and tiger heads finally arrived at Wu Ming's side, waving their heavy fists as they smashed down. Bang! After a few muffled sounds, the 4 A-ranked guard were sent flying, and one of them had his arms split open, with blood gushing out. Do you think we don't exist? Long Jintian brought everyone to stand behind Wu Ming. Just now, it was them who had attacked together and sent the 4 A-class bodyguards flying. Kill! Wu Ming once again threw out a dozen or so fist-sized black spirit balls, which landed beside the 4 A-class bodyguards. Be careful of these things. A guard immediately roared. Restrain them and buy time for Wu Ming. Long Jintian immediately rushed to the side of an A-ranked guard. With a slash of his blade, he sent the guard flying a few meters away, just in time to step on a spirit sphere. Good chance. Wu Ming laughed heartily. Through the black threads connected to the spiritual ball, he controlled the spiritual ball to transform into quicksand, which quickly covered half of the rank A bodyguard's leg. Chop off your legs. A guard not far away reminded loudly. F***CK your mother. That's my leg. The A-rank bodyguard whose leg was entangled flew into a rage. But while he was talking nonsense, the material spiritual ball had already spread to his upper body and wrapped around his arms. Henceforth, the first A-rank bodyguard was locked in place. The remaining 3 A-rank bodyguards' expressions changed drastically. They retreated one after another, trying to distance themselves from Wu Ming. However, the Devil Atomic Beast had already charged over. It turned into a black ring and wrapped around the legs and arms of the second A-rank bodyguard. Rip! The rainbow-winged chameleon also flew over and wrapped its tail around the neck of the third A-rank bodyguard. Its sharp claws madly slashed at the bodyguard's face. Meow! Netherworld Sovereign had also launched an attack. It landed on the shoulder of the fourth A-rank bodyguard and madly slashed at him with its sharp claws. Dying! Yi Senyang also charged toward the fourth A-rank bodyguard. She held the A-rank Ion sword tightly with both hands and stabbed it into the bodyguard's mouth. Nightingale, go! Eulili was not idle either. She ordered the B-rank Nightingale to fly above the fourth A-rank bodyguard and used its B-rank innate ability, Rage and Cry, to send out infrasound waves that impacted the bodyguard's body and caused resonance. Why? The fourth bodyguard only felt that his internal organs were trembling. Coupled with the fact that his mouth was pierced by the A-rank Ion sword, he could not help but spit out large mouthfuls of blood. Seal! Wu Ming once again threw out a matter spiritual ball and successfully sealed all four A-rank bodyguards on the spot. Henceforth, including Li Daliang, a total of 5 A-rank bodyguard were trapped in a laboratory. Good for you, Wu Ming. On the main battlefield, Tin Gong used a violent fist technique and sent Snow Shadow flying. Turning his head, he found that Li Daliang and the other 4 A-rank bodyguards were all wrapped in a black substance. They looked like 5 huge statues. Hee hee, do you want to have a taste of being sealed? Wu Ming sneered. So what if Tan Gong was an SS rank bodyguard? If he was sealed in a cage formed by the matter spiritual ball and thrown into the trench, Wu Ming did not believe that Tan Gong would not starve to death in a few years. Tan Gong is very strong. I'm not his opponent at all. At this time, Snow Shadow returned to Wu Ming's side. Her breathing was rapid, and her stamina had been greatly exhausted. If not for the third-generation Dragon Scale armor, she would have been smashed to death by Tan Gong's heavy fist. On the empty ground, Tan Gong looked coldly at Wu Ming, Snow Shadow, and the others. His face was extremely gloomy, like a bloodthirsty beast. Very good. You guys have really done well. Now, you have all thoroughly angered me. Tin Gong gnashed his teeth. Regarding Wu Ming, his previous admiration had turned into hatred. Dad, do you want to use the explosive pill to kill them? Tan Shintong, who was standing at the entrance of the passage, chuckled. Using the explosive pill here, do you want to kill me too? Tin Gong said unhappily. Haha, Dad, you mean you could be killed by the explosion of an A-rank explosive pill? It can't be, right? Tan Shintong laughed. Isn't that nonsense? The power of an A-rank explosive pill is so terrifying. Even if it can't kill me, if I'm in the center of the explosion, I'll be half crippled, Tan Gong said in a deep voice. Suddenly, Tan Gong realized that something was wrong. When did his daughter become so talkative? There's something wrong with you. Tan Gong suddenly realized something and looked at Tan Shintong, only to see that she was holding a tablet in her hand that was connected to a signal enhancement device. She seemed to be communicating with someone. What are you doing? Tan Gong hurriedly rushed over. Even Wu Ming and the others looked at Tan Shintong curiously, wanting to know what she was doing. Tap, tap, tap. At this moment, heavy footsteps came from the passage, and the speed was very fast. It was as if someone was rushing over. My reinforcements are here. Tan Shintong grinned and silently retreated. The next moment, a beautiful woman in a white ancient dress passed through the passage and entered the hall inside the pyramid. On her back, there was a sharp sword. Snow Qian. Seeing this woman, Wu Ming could not help but blurt out. Snow Ying, who was beside him, was also very shocked. Sister, why are you here? Snow Ying asked. Sister? Tan Gong frowned and looked at Snow Qian. He could feel the powerful aura of a peak S rank from her. Not only was she not afraid, but she was also excited. Another S rank has come. As long as I devour you, I'll be able to step into SS rank. As he spoke, Tin Gong had already charged towards Snow Qian. Humph! Snow Qian snorted coldly, and a moonlight energy shield appeared on the surface of her body, repelling Tan Gong. Crescent slash. Snow Qian pulled out the sharp sword on her back and poured the energy in her body into the sword, causing it to emit a moonlight radiance. Rip! Rays of crescent-shaped light were slashed out like countless terrifying shockwaves, bombarding Tan Gong's body and leaving a lot of wounds. So fierce, she can actually suppress Tan Gong, whose energy index has reached SS rank. Could it be that Snow Qian is a real SS rank? Yi Yang was very shocked. Wu Ming observed Snow Qian and said, "She's not SS rank. She's still a peak S rank, but that sword is very powerful. It can actually increase Snow Qian's combat power. With the sword in hand, her combat power can reach SS rank. That sword is so powerful." Everyone present was astonished. Tan Gong was completely suppressed by Snow Qian, and his face was full of grievances. He could not help but roar. "Tan Shintong, you bitch! What the hell are you doing? How dare you team up with outsiders to kill me? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the heavens?" Tan Shintong crossed her arms and smiled. "You're not my father. Why should I worry about your life? I've checked. You're infertile. As for me, my mother gave birth to me together with someone else. How is it? Are you surprised? Do you feel like there's a prairie above your head?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Tan Shintong was not Tan Gong's biological daughter. F***CK. Tan Gong heard this and immediately cursed. "No wonder you look like your mother and not me. It turns out that you dared to cheat on me." Tan Gong was completely enraged. His energy point soared. He grew from 2.5 meters to 3 meters tall. He jumped up with all his might. Boom! With one punch, Snow Qian was smashed away. Fortunately, Snow Qian put her sword in front of her in time to block the punch. Therefore, she was only numb but not seriously injured. "Go to hell, all of you!" Tan Gong shouted. He took out a glass bottle with a golden potion and threw it into his mouth. Ha ha ha! After taking the potion, Tan Gong let out a ferocious laugh. Many strange barbs appeared on the surface of his body. His right hand became thicker and his left hand evolved into a bone blade. Ha ha ha! Tan Gong was still laughing and he sped up. This time, his target was not Snow Qian, but Tan Shintong, who was standing at the entrance of the passage. Boom! After one hit, Tan Shintong was smashed into pieces. However, when people looked over, they saw that Tan Shintong had turned into countless butterflies dancing in the air. After a while, they reformed into Tan Shintong. Have you forgotten that my pet is a fantasy butterfly? It can clone itself remotely. Right now, my original self is sitting in a villa far away. Tan Shintong giggled. Damn you! Tan Gong was furious. At the same time, Garan Castle. In the hall of the 5-story villa across the river from the pet store on Nanwen Street, the E-rank ape warrior Tan Shintong, Wang Chu, and the others were all sitting on the sofa, watching the big screen. "Miss Tan, is the Lord really okay?" The ape warrior looked at Tan Shintong. Back when he was used for experiments in a laboratory, it was because of Tan Shintong's secret help that he survived. Even the USB flash drive that he gave to Wu Ming, which was full of laboratory data, was given by Tan Shintong. From the beginning to the end, Tan Shintong had been hiding in the dark. She didn't come out until today. "Miss Tan, is Ming really okay?" Su Qianqian sat on the side, biting her sexy red lips. Tan Shintong looked at the image sent by the fantasy butterfly clone, nodded, and then shook her head. "Tan Gong has been stimulated by me to take the S-rank strengthening potion. I've tampered with this potion, which can easily cause mental confusion or even a mental breakdown. However, before he has a mental breakdown, his combat ability will be very strong. I only hope that Xue Qian and Wu Ming can hold on. As long as they can get through it, they can win." Hearing this, Wang Chu, Su Qianqian, Lin Yin, and the others were full of worry. "Right. How did you find Xue Qian?" Su Qianqian asked curiously. Tan Shintong smiled. "Have you forgotten that I'm the ultimate spy in the laboratory? I know all kinds of information about the laboratory. Back then, someone knew about the relationship between Xue Qian and Shui Ying. Then, I used this information to investigate and found that Xueqian was sleeping in the basement of the villa in the suburbs. Then, I used the talent of the fantasy butterfly to communicate with the sleeping Xueqian and told her about the laboratory's plan and conspiracy. We reached an agreement before she woke up. Otherwise, how could I have called Xueqian? At this point, the corners of Tan Xintong's mouth curled up slightly. She couldn't stand the laboratory's methods of killing living beings. After knowing that she wasn't Tan Gong's biological daughter, she had been secretly plotting. Until now, her plan had succeeded. The laboratory's final boss, Tan Gong, was trapped in the 10th pyramid 5,000 meters below the sea by Wu Ming, Xueqian, Shuiying, Long Jintian, and other powerhouses. Deep under the sea, in the pyramid, Wu Ming stood on the spot. Through the message sent by the heart-linking insect, he knew what Wang Chila had just said and Tan Xintong's true identity. So she helped us. Wu Ming looked at the entrance of the passage not far away and met Tan Xintong's fantasy butterfly clone's eyes. Roar! However, Tan Gong's voice suddenly sounded. He crazily bombarded the fantasy butterfly clone, but found that he couldn't kill it at all. After all, a clone was an energy projection. After being scattered, it could be reformed. If the original body didn't die, the clone couldn't die. B*TCH, B*TCH. Tan Gong was completely enraged. His body gradually expanded, and his mind showed signs of losing control. Roar! He didn't escape. Instead, he charged at Wu Ming, Shuiying, Xueqian, and the others. His eyes were filled with a crimson light. Clearly, he was extremely angry and had long gone berserk. Surround him. Wu Ming made a prompt decision and threw out countless material spirit balls. First, he sealed the entrance of the passage. Then, countless black material spirit balls spread along the inner walls of the hall. Boom! At the same time, Wu Ming, Shuiying, Xueqian, and the others were all sent flying by the furious Tan Gong and smashed heavily into the wall. However, taking advantage of this time, the material spirit balls finally connected the four walls, ceiling, and bottom of the entire hall, turning it into an airtight secret room. Even if Tan Gong could transform into quicksand, he couldn't escape from the airtight space. Defend. Wu Ming gathered everyone in a small corner and formed a fence with the material spirit balls to separate Tan Gong from them. Boom! Boom! Tan Gong kept bombarding the fence, but he couldn't break it. He's too crazy. He seems to have endless power. What should we do? Shuiying looked at Wu Ming with a gloomy face. Wait, Wu Ming said. Right then, Wu Ming suddenly had a strange feeling. The connection between him and the S-Class Master Ball was getting closer and closer. It seemed that it was working. Master, save me, save me. In Wu Ming's mind, he heard the Dark God's weak wail. He couldn't help but open his eyes wide. Ah! In the distance, Tan Gong, who was bombarding the fence, suddenly held his head and screamed crazily. His body was actually wriggling nonstop. It was as if something was trying to rush out from the inside. Wu Ming instantly understood what was going on. I understand now. The S-Class Master Ball has successfully controlled the Dark God and turned it into my pet. In addition, the drug that Tan Gong took caused him to lose his mind. The Dark God has finally found a breakthrough. As long as the Dark God can be separated from Tan Gong's energy index will drop to the peak of the S-Class. By then, Xueqian will be able to kill him alone. Wu Ming said excitedly. When the others heard this, they were all dumbfounded. All pets, come here. Wu Ming closed his eyes and asked the atomic beast, the colorful chameleon, and the nether sovereign to lie on his shoulder and lend him their spiritual strength. Then, Wu Ming used this strength to establish a closer connection with the Dark God. Break free, Wu Ming said in a deep voice. Okay. The Dark God nodded and struggled. Finally, it separated from Tan Gong's body and formed its upper body. Even its hands were freed, and it was struggling faster. Bang! Finally, the Dark God flapped its wings and completely separated from Tan Gong's body. It fell to the side, weak. Tan Gong's body shrank in an instant. He was only 2 meters tall. He knelt on the ground, and held his head with both hands. Kill, Wu Ming ordered coldly. The Nether Sovereign was the first to attack. He used his A-class talent, small gamma-ray burst, to bombard Tiangong. Then, the atomic beast, the colorful chameleon, the angel, Yi Sanyang, and Long Jintian attacked one after another. Tiangong was smashed into the wall. Kill. Shueying and Xueqian stood side by side. They added strength to their swords and hacked down together. Crack! Tiangong was cut in half and fell to the ground. He stared at the ceiling with his eyes wide open. He had never thought that he would die in the hands of Wu Ming and the others. Finally, it's done. Looking at the fallen Tiangong, Wu Ming sat on the ground. He felt he was about to collapse. Xueqian and Xueying heaved a sigh of relief. They looked back at Wu Ming and then at Tan Xintong's clone in the distance. They nodded at her. Garan Castle, in the 5-story villa. Oh yeah, boss, they finally won. The laboratory's biggest boss, Tiangong, has been killed. The remaining people are no longer a threat. Su Qianqian and the others were very happy. Miss Tan, the enemy has been eliminated. I will continue to carry bricks for the Overlord. The E-class ape warrior stood up and nodded at Tan Xintong. He then left the villa. On the sofa, Tan Xintong held a glass of red wine and took a sip. She then looked at the image sent by her clone. Her red lips curled up. It's over. She smiled. Her expression was relaxed. Under the deep sea, in the pyramid, Tan Xintong's clone told the whole story. She completely revealed what she had done. So, it was you who called my sister. Shuang looked at Xueqian and held her hand tightly. It's nothing. Tan Xintong smiled and looked at the 5 statues not far away. Li Daliang is not dead yet. He's dead. Wu Ming borrowed Xueqian's sword and walked toward Li Daliang with a sinister smile. Not long later, Li Daliang's scream could be heard from the pyramid. It lasted for a long time. Half a day later, everyone left the 10th pyramid. In Wu Ming's hand, there was an extra piece of paper. Master, this is the inscription on the Esper sarcophagus. According to the formula, we can create a device that can detect the coordinates of the new humans. The God of Darkness said respectfully, and got it. Wu Ming looked at the drawing, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. 1 month later, Goddess Island. Wu Ming looked at the big screen in front of him. He placed a special radar-like device on the table and connected it to the screen. Next, it's time to settle the score with the people in the laboratory. Wu Ming pressed the start button. The next moment, on the giant screen, tens of thousands of red dots appeared. Each red that represented a Homo evolutus. And they were all the people in the laboratory. It's time to settle them. Wu Ming looked at the target on the screen and said coldly. 3 months later, Wu Ming, Xueqian, Xueying, Long Jintian, Chu Yuanxuan, Yi Sanyang, the God of Darkness, Yu Lily, and the others kept destroying countless strongholds in the laboratory. They burned all of them to ashes and seized all the research materials. Since then, the laboratory, which was a huge dark force, was finally wiped out by Wu Ming and the others. The death of Tiangong, the deputy leader of the Class S Alliance, shocked the Pet Alliance on the heavenly blue planet. However, as Wu Ming, Xueying, and Xueqian took the sword that Xueqian found in the deep sea and the God of Darkness, the Class S Pet, and entered the Pet Alliance's main hall, the Alliance Master and the deputy leader were completely shocked. Since then, this matter was settled. Garan Castle, Nanwen Street. Wu Ming sat by the glass window, facing the sun. He held Yi Sanyang in his arms and looked at the bustling street with a smile on his face. Boss, you went to see Ms. Tan last night. Yi Sanyang could not help but ask. Yes. Wu Ming grinned. I heard that some time ago, you went to see Duchess Yamina of the Dark Bazaar. Yi Sanyang said with hidden bitterness. Ahem. I only want to talk to her for a few days and learn how to run the Dark Bazaar. Wu Ming blushed. Boss, you are so bad. Yi Sanyang said faintly. Huh. Wu Ming touched his nose and recalled the tender times he had with Tan Xintong, Duchess Yamina, and the others. He couldn't help but look at the sky, feeling satisfied. Now, The great enemy was dead. On the goddess island, he still had Shui Ying, the owner of the goddess tower, and Shui Qian, who was at the peak of Class S, to rely on. On the heavenly blue planet, he was already invincible. As long as he developed step by step, it wouldn't be a problem for him to become a Class S pet trainer or even a Class SSS pet trainer. Take a nap. Wu Ming looked at Yi Sanyang, who was in his arms. Okay. Yi Sanyang nodded. And it's finally over. Haha. Thank you for all your support. This is my first time writing a pet story, and I didn't control it well. I hope you can forgive me. If you're interested, you can follow the author's public account. The name is exactly the same as my author's name, Chaotic Winter Melon Spirit. Thank you again. If fate allows, there might be a second book in the future. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.